Hey guys, we have a new documentary streaming on demand at merkelfilms.com. It's called The Sierra Sounds, A Prelude. This is a short documentary that we're releasing on the website for your pleasure. We have Ron Moorhead going back to the Sierra Nevada mountains to revisit the groundbreaking location where he recorded the Sierra Sounds. This short documentary is now streaming on demand at merkelfilms.com.
They were given special powers, special abilities.
Yeah.
They were blessed. All right. If you start looking at the descriptions of angels, then it gets pretty scary.
Oh yeah.
You know, when they talked about, you know, there were cherubs guarding Jesus in the garden. When you start looking up cherubs, it's not the little cutesy wootsy.
Yeah.
You know, little wings and diapers and hearts and little golden hair.
Cupid. Yeah.
No, these things are very scary. Okay, but there's a specific one. I thought it maybe it's the type. It's a cherubellum.
Oh, the one with the eyes that
with
flip
the spheres.
Oh, the
eyeballs.
yeah.
You know, and then there's the angels
That's the
with the
names.
four faces, with the four arms, and they've got wings, and you know they have a face of an eagle and the face of a man and the face. And I'm going, I don't want to see these. There's a reason why when people saw angels in the Bible, they were so afraid.
Yeah.
Because they were terrifying.
People come on the show and they tell their experiences, and they saw something, you know, like say they saw, I don't know, a shadow figure and it scared them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, imagine that times like 1,000,
yeah.
you know? Like,
Oh,
imagine being in your bedroom and all of a sudden this angel shows up with all these eyes circulating around
Yeah,
it.
foot of your bed
and
or
it's like,
something.
it's literally sent from God, and you're just like flipping your bed over. You're like, I don't want any of that.
No.
You can keep that energy, you know?
Yeah.
These creatures, these beings, these entities, whatever you want to label them as, they'll feed on you. And your energy is gone, and all of a sudden all hell will break loose around you. You have all this activity, you know, and I'm laying on the ground, and I'm so zapped I can't move, or I'm nauseated, I'm throwing up, you know. I have to work through that sensation, and you know, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 30 minutes before I'm back on my feet. You know, the last person to hit the ground, not from getting zapped, but you know, but once it happened, you know, he got so rocked it was hard to get back up on your feet, and I think Tate actually understands it now. Yeah,
David went through a portal.
David's back from his portal trip.
Hey, we can talk about that. All right, today we have Squatch Watchers in studio. How you guys doing?
Man, pretty good.
I'm feeling awesome, guys.
Man,
So far, so good. Yeah.
listen, we've been trying to do this for a while.
It's like 2 years.
I know.
You realize
Long
that's how time flies. It's been like 2 years, but me and you would always speak, and then he'd have something going on.
Yeah.
Then he'd have something going on. Then I finally messaged you, and we were talking. I was like, "You pick a weekend, we'll make it work."
Yeah, I think you even said, you're like, listen, even if it's just me, it's getting done.
Yeah.
It works better for me like that because like my schedule's always all over the place. So it's like
Just make a
someone tells
decision, tell me what to do.
what to do, where I need to be.
Yeah.
I'll
Make it
figure it
happen.
out. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I get it. And that's how I am too. I mean, people do similar things, and I'm just like, pick a week in July, and they'll be like the week of the 21st, and I'm like, okay. And then we start whittling it down from there, you know. But I can't really. There's just too much going on. It's sometimes what I'll do, I'm known to do this too. I'll just take a screenshot of my schedule and I'll say, find a day that's blank. And they're like, it's only one day. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the day, or it's not happening, you
What
know?
always hurt us is because like we're all working still, and like we were trying for the weekends. And
Yeah.
your weekends were always booked.
Yeah.
And like you had the weekdays open. I'm pretty sure. I think. or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that.
I try to do weekday recording when I can, because, you know, I'm a family man.
Yeah.
And
100%.
Yeah.
it wasn't a big deal when when my son was younger, but now that he's in school, like he's gone all day long. So I work all day. And then, you know, on weekends when he's home, I don't want to be like just, you know, working, because I used to work on Saturdays and Sundays a lot because it just, I could do whatever I wanted. And so I had to have more of a stable kind of thing. But, you know, if I know it in advance, I can definitely swing things. And that's the thing, like we scheduled today and there was absolutely nothing on the schedule. And then my wife, she's like, we need to do Ben's birthday party. And I was like, okay, just pick a day. And she's like, the 7th, like, cool. And then like a week later, I'm like, oh, shoot. But it worked out okay. Because I think one of you guys have something to do this evening anyway. So, anyways, we're here Saturday morning. We're hanging out. you guys have a YouTube channel called Squatch Watchers. I want to get into it. Like, how did it start? And obviously, what do you do? Oh, you watch Sasquatch. Sounds good.
Something like that.
Yeah. I was telling you guys earlier, he passed away, I think 2 Augusts ago. So a little more than a year ago now, Scott Carpenter. His son, Travis, has become a real good friend of mine since then. But Scott was like in this area, like the OG when it came to like Sasquatch, Bigfoot, cryptid, like research, that's what you want to call it. I think, I would say he was a researcher. Like me, I'm more of like an experienced hunter, like I go out there, I'm like, I'm not really worried about documenting things for the world as much as I just want to.
You won't experience
I'm selfish with it. I'm just like, I'm like, if Jack's not there to carry the camera, there ain't nobody shooting a video. I'm not trying to do that. Like I'm just trying to be out there and experience it. You know what I mean?
We're kind of a mixed bag when it comes to that. We're a little bit of everything with that kind of persona.
Yeah.
We've always had the mindset too, when we go out in the woods, we're doing it for those who can't. So we try to video a lot so that we can bring that adventure to them, especially for the generation of folks who can't, they're confined to a chair. Yeah. They're confined to their home. So, we've always tried to have that mission-minded goal also.
Yeah. I'll tell you, how did you guys get started? Because I want to tell you the method that Scott was doing, but I kind of want to hear about how you guys got this whole start. I mean, well, let me just tell you this. Like, I'll tell you what, because I think I don't want to forget, and I think it'd be handy for you guys if you haven't implemented something like this yet. We started doing it with all the documentaries we go and shoot now, and we call it the Scott Carpenter method, just in memory of him. Yeah. But he's the one who started mounting a camera facing backwards. Yep. And you guys do that too?
Well, we get comments all the time. You guys should do what Scott did. I'm telling you, we get the comment. Like, you go through most of our videos, and Scott Carpenter's name is mentioned at least once or twice. Of
it works.
He used to do this, put a camera facing your way, and then we met Carrie Arnold. So we've got a camera, our FLIR camera. We named it after. I don't know if you remember Carrie Arnold. It was like Bigfoot Odyssey.
Yeah. He passed away like 2 years ago.
Yeah. And he would send us stuff. He's the one that kind of helped us when we first started. He would already had his channel going, and
it was like a little brother.
So we named our camera after him. The Carrie. We always say bring out the Carrie. It's the FLIR camera.
Yeah, FLIR thermal imaging.
Yeah. So it's pretty neat. But we get that name a lot.
So do you like? With you guys and how you're doing it, are you using a gimbal or are you just mounting it?
Man,
we don't mount.
We have like the police version body cameras.
Okay.
And so I wear one front and I have one on the back.
Gotcha. Okay. And
so whatever it's picking up, I'm not have to worry about it. It's just there. And it's one of the things, like if I'm doing this, I got, what am I seeing? I got to, I'm looking for the viewer's point of view. With this, it's just like whatever it picks up, it picks up. And it's, I go back to, I'm always the survivor, man.
Les Stroud.
Les Stroud. Big fan of his. 90% of the best stuff he gets, he doesn't even know he had it. Yeah. Until he goes back and he's like, oh man, look at this. And right there in plain sight. And he was just going on about his business. So that's what we're hoping to do.
So I'll tell you, you're going to catch stuff. We've caught stuff, and Scott Carpenter caught stuff. And Scott has, I want to say, over 1,000 hours of video that he never went through, and it's sitting on hard drives right now. That like me and Travis were talking about possibly setting up some kind of thing in memory of him, where we release all that footage and let his fans go through the footage.
And he lives on, and it's like a gold mine.
And that's the absolute best too, because whenever. So I don't do the strapping the camera, so I'll just turn the camera like
that's
this.
What I do too.
Go behind us, and the fans pick out the most stuff. Yeah, and like there's going to be so much stuff.
They'll put the timestamps with it. Yeah, shine or shadow figure.
And it's like a perfect marriage almost, right? Because like it takes a lot of time to go out and do these things, and if you're going to continue to keep going out and do these things, you don't have always the time to go through it with a fine-tooth comb like they will, because they're there to watch the footage. And so that's kind of cool. Like Scott had this, like, and you can't find this gimbal anymore. We've looked, but he had this he made a rig and then attached an Evo gimbal to it where it would strap to his shoulder on his backpack, and the footage was just absolutely stable and constantly directly facing behind him, because if he turned, it just kind of moved with him. And so what we did was we got these gimbals that are like handheld gimbals. Mm-hmm. And we just did this on the last trip we did. We strapped the gimbal to the backpack and had it facing backwards, and it seemed to work pretty well.
Yeah.
But like, I think if you have the high quality video camera on a gimbal facing backwards, there's no telling what's going to actually pop out, and you'll see. Because the thing is, like, if you're holding it up and doing this, there's physical gesture.
Yeah. Yes.
Just as if you were turning to look in that direction. If the theory is that they're hiding, right? Mm-hmm. They might see hide, but if it's just part of your rig and they come walking through,
they don't know.
Yeah. Theoretically, like that, like we're trying to say that we're tricking fallen angels here, but you know,
we're smarter than them, right? Yeah.
That sounded crazy at first, but I think.
But you know, it goes back to we've learned to always look behind us, as well as ahead, obviously, and then always look up. Mm-hmm. We learned to look up too.
Now, what was the situation for that?
The light flashing. We'll get into it. The light flashing.
Let's get into it. What is it?
Yeah, let's do it now.
The spark.
For one, the comments, and then
go ahead.
So. This is a two-way sword here. So we're giving away information that we don't normally like to give away.
It's already out there.
And simply because
it's going to get out. Yeah.
This is how we test people to know if they're serious. They say, well, we were in this remote area and we started seeing this anomaly. And then these things would start happening. We're like, okay, so our radars are up because, we see a lot of things. And so we've had a lot of guest people that we've taken on adventures that will see light anomalies. There's specific colors that I look for. And there's two specific that always, to me, I know everybody's spot on, because things happen in nature. That there's light anomalies that happen normally in nature. There's bioluminescent vines. There's worms. There's moss. There's fungus. The things that just naturally glow in the dark. Okay. And then you've got these things that just appear and then they're gone. Or they may flutter, they may flicker, and then they're gone. What is that? Mm-hmm. Where did that originate? I believe now that is a definite sign of a portal. Or if you want to go to a biblical term, maybe someone opened the veil and slipped through.
Yeah. That's interesting. So you're saying these like light anomalies you believe are signs of portals opening and closing?
I do.
Because it's almost like you look at a light bulb, and you flick it on in a room, it turns on, it busts. Like, it just, and that's almost how I can explain the lights that we see. And then within a couple seconds after that, that's whenever we get a lot of hate on this sometimes, but have you ever experienced rock throwing that just comes out?
I haven't.
See,
you've got to come to North Carolina.
So all right. So you're saying the rock throwing happens right after the anomaly?
Not every time, but either you're going to get a strong smell, you're going to start hearing the movement around us, or you're going to we've brought skeptics in that's throwing rocks, and a rock comes
activity wise. That's when.
Yeah. So if you're in a typical area and you know your surroundings, and we're on a gravel road, there's rocks everywhere, but a half mile away there's a river, or over here there's a mountain. There's all types of different geological rocks that are available. But how does one rock geologically get from an area that it shouldn't be, and you find it next to you?
Are you suggesting that the rock itself went through a portal?
What if they just peeked the veil open and chunked it at you and shut the veil back?
It's always near water, hint, but that'll come later.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a segue into a big rabbit hole.
Okay, well, yeah. I'm here for it, if that's for sure. But
let's just get into it. We can get into it.
Let's just get into it.
Yeah.
Why
not?
Okay. All right, so you're Squatch Watchers.
Yeah.
You have a YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. People can go check it out. But let's get into this, because all right, so when you guys talk about the rock throwing, right?
Mm-hmm.
how do you view that? Like, because there's another viewpoint that was presented to me, and I'll just say it now.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I think, obviously, if there's a Bigfoot or a Dogman or something else, like, it could throw rocks.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who, if there's rock throwing, they automatically say Bigfoot's throwing rocks. But it was just something that somebody connected dots for me years ago. Timothy Renner from Strange Roads podcast. I think it's no, it's not Strange Roads. It's Strange Familiars podcast. He said to me, people talk about it being Bigfoot and stuff, maybe, for sure, possible. He said, but people overlook the fact that they could be standing in the middle of a haunted forest and it could be poltergeist activity.
Oh my God.
Dude.
See, we're there.
Yeah, we're already there. Dude, you ready to get the,
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Take me on a magical journey.
Okay. First of all, before we get into this, you've got to come to North Carolina to experience yourself.
Planning on it.
Dude, yes, 100%.
We've got Fear Rock we can talk about. We've got, before we get into this,
there's so
Ron
much.
Moorhead, James Bond of Bigfoot.
The
Crypto,
James Bond.
came and experienced this himself with Kelly Lockman. He done a video podcast with you.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he talked about this. It's like the rock just fell out of the sky and hit the golf. And Ron Moorhead's, oh wow.
Okay, yeah, you're talking about the property.
Yes, that's our property.
That's adjacent. Well, it's across from the place we primarily hunt now.
But,
that's where we started.
But get into that. We'll get into the water thing, the rocks. David, you take it away. But the 4 angels in the Bible, and then just to get into why we think this.
How are we going from rock throwing to 4 angels
because
in the
it's
Bible?
always near the water.
Okay, let's do it.
That's part of it. Yeah.
So we you either love us or you hate us, because as far as we know, we're one of the few, if not the only, self-proclaimed Christian boots on the ground investigative groups out there.
Yeah, me and my team are the exact same way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be in good company.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. So when we first started this, I just really had this theory that what if we're not dealing with, we call it a Bigfoot. All right. We don't know really what this animal is. And my theory has been all along that what if Sasquatch is nothing more than a fallen angel that has been out of the realm of hell and is able to go between the two worlds? What if that's a species of animal we're dealing with? Because a lot of people don't realize what happened first was not the creation of the world. It was the war in heaven. You had the war in heaven happen, okay? So then God created the earth. The earth was created as a gatekeeper or a prison, if you will, for hell, okay? And it says, I somewhere in Genesis, I can't give you the exact scripture, it says that Lucifer is the little g god, okay? He's still a god. He has power. He was created. He was the most beautiful creation at that point in time, said that his organs were like instruments. So, there's not a lot to be scared of here when you're talking about Lucifer in heaven, but says when he was cast out, he was called a demon. Mm-hmm. All right. The Bible says some of the demons were so vile, they were locked away in hell forever, while others had the ability to walk between the two worlds. And when I read that, I'm going, wait a minute. All these people that I were calling nuts and insane about portals or interdimensional beings, the Bible clearly says that. And in the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 4, God says to Lucifer, what are you doing? And Lucifer answers, oh, nothing, just walking up and down between the two worlds. Mm-hmm. And I got goosebumps right now. It blew my mind. There's 2 definitive scriptures that says there are dimensions, gateways, if you will, and there has to be multiple portals, or they have to have the ability to create one. Now, I will tell you, on your spiritual walk to be a believer in Christ, the more you study, the more you follow, the more is revealed unto you. This book is a roadmap, and the more you study, the more it's revealed unto you. Now, he's going to get a different view of the map than I have. You're going to get a different view than I have. So the closer I get, I feel like the thinner the veil becomes. And this group's energy is so strong that when we're on our investigations, I think the veil is very thin, and we have a lot more activity, whether it be, you want to call it paranormal, a haunting, a cryptid, any of these things. And so we also say, we go into, people talk about, well, it's a Dogman or this and that and another. I'm going, these guys are nuts. This is crazy. And then wait a minute, David, let's just take this to its simplest thing. And again, I can find the scripture. I just don't have it handy. The Bible says, careful, ye not know when you entertain angels. Mm-hmm. So that means if I have entertained an angel in my life, that means they were able to transform.
Yep, to look like a human.
Bingo. Yep. So now we have skinwalkers that no longer sound crazy.
Bingo. Also, even Jesus himself. So like Jesus himself, after he resurrected, he was walking with the disciples and they didn't even recognize him. He's like, yo, what are you guys all upset about? And they're like, we just lost our friend. And he's like, oh, fuck her up, you'll be all right.
Here I am.
And it wasn't until, so like there was some kind of transformation there as well. And like, when you look at the scripture, like there's a lot of that. And so what you're talking about is interesting because it seems like we're all on the same page and we've all kind of like gone through these thought processes, and it opens up the door for people with our theological perspectives to look at what it has been traditionally so frowned upon in the cryptozoology as woo-woo, and be like, maybe it's not so bad.
What's the I can't remember the book or the verse in the Bible, but it talks about the things with the lion faces that fought in Daniel.
Yeah, the lion. Lion-headed man.
So there you go. Yeah. I don't know. The Bible even speaks of
giants,
Dogman.
Giants, Goliath, and
dragons.
Yeah, dragons. Yeah.
What angel can come in the middle of the night and slew 100,000 men by themselves? Yeah. Tell me what angel that is. Sounds like a dragon.
Yeah, that does sound like.
I had 300 men sleeping. I had one angel come whoop an entire army, 100,000 men, kill them while we slumbered. But think about it.
Even that though, like it's more like a supernatural thing because like you have Samson who killed 1,000 soldiers with the jawbone of a donkey.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He wasn't an angel; he was just supernaturally empowered by God.
The real Hercules.
Yeah, like he was bad. And then like the David's mighty men, like those dudes were like they were probably Nephilim, but still like they were bad dudes.
Yeah. And then I mean
they were given special powers, special abilities. Yeah. They were blessed. All right. If you start looking at the descriptions of angels, then it gets pretty scary.
Oh yeah.
When they talked about, there were cherubs guarding Jesus in the garden. When you start looking up cherubs, it's not the little cutesy wootsy.
Yeah,
little wings and diapers and hearts and little golden hair.
Cupid. Yeah.
No, these things are very scary. Okay,
yeah.
And then I can't. Is it cherubellum? Is that one of them? The four names. There's only four angels.
You got
cherubim,
Lucifer, which is Halo,
Lucifer.
Michael, Gabriel, and then.
You have Abaddon.
Abaddon is who we're going to get into.
But there's a specific one. I thought it maybe it's the type. It's a cherubellum.
Oh, the one with the eyes that
with
flip
the spheres.
The eyeballs. Yeah.
And then there's the angels with the four faces, with the four arms, and they've got wings, and they have a face of an eagle and the face of a man and the face. And I'm going, I don't want to see these. There's a reason why when people saw angels in the Bible, they were sore afraid.
Yeah.
Because they were terrifying.
The angel's precursor, do not be afraid.
Fear not.
But I mean, we run up on people in the street and go, man, they hit every, ugly stick on the tree.
I look at you every time I see it. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine that? I mean, like people, people come on the show and they tell their experiences and they saw something, like say they saw, I don't know, a shadow figure and it scared them, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, imagine that times like 1,000, imagine being in your bedroom and all of a sudden this angel shows up with all these eyes circulating around it.
Foot of your bed
and it's like, it's literally sent from God and you're just like flipping your bed over. You're like, I don't want any of that. You can keep that energy,
Yeah. I thought I was telling you or somebody like, I love Jesus. I want to see Jesus one day. But if he would appear in front of me,
Oh, it scared you to
Well,
death.
it's still terrifying in the human spectrum.
I was
always
like, Jesus, I love you, but please, because I would always hear when I was a kid, like, Jesus came to me. I'm like, Jesus, please don't.
Send me an email first. Give me a heads up.
That would be terrifying.
On Tuesday at noon, I'll be arriving.
Start
Just
with
let
a
you know.
phone call and then we'll meet up.
Please.
Don't be so intrusive.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now we do tell everybody that that this stuff's really cool. It sounds fun, and we have some really cool adventures. But you do not prepare to go looking for Sasquatch or especially the paranormal realm, which is directly tied to the Bible, without knowing what you're doing.
Especially the paranormal realm.
Do not invite anything into your life that you do not want.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about seeing things and having things. There's some things I won't even speak of because I won't give that entity power anymore.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever brought something home with you and had to live through it, I'm telling you, brother, it will change your whole everything. And if you didn't know Jesus, you will definitely seek him out.
And we've seen you in the woods just basically break down to nothing, like throwing up and laying down and everything.
And that gets to the rock throwings and
what happened?
So we all have our own energy. Okay. We've got, my fiance is off to the side. She has her own energy. Taylor's wife has her own energy.
Yeah.
When we're together, it explodes. And these creatures, these beings, these entities, whatever you want to, label them as, they'll feed on you. And the more excited you get or the more amped up you get, sometimes they just say, you know what? I'll take that. And your energy is gone, and all of a sudden, all hell will break loose around you. You have all this activity, and I'm laying on the ground. And I'm so zapped I can't move, or I'm nauseated, I'm throwing up, and I have to work through that sensation. And it could be 5 minutes, it could be 30 minutes before I'm back on my feet. The last person to hit the ground, not from getting zapped, but once it happened, he got so rocked, it was hard to get back up on your feet. And I think Tate actually understands it now.
That was like
I do,
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
What happened?
Okay. So it's before you get into it, this is one of those great things. I saw a UFO. We all saw the same thing, 3 different depictions of it. Yeah. We all saw this happen with our own eyes, and we all have 3 different views of what happened to this.
Really?
One. Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
he's been scratched and everything. Oh man. Should we start and go from the beginning all the way up to this point, or should we go
chronologically? Maybe, but I don't know. Like it's
because was this like a sequence of events?
Yeah, it's been
in one night or one trip or what?
Well, let's put it this way: for where we're at this moment, sitting with you, talking to you, we were completely different when we started in 2017 together as a group and starting a YouTube channel in the Squatch Watchers name, and we've evolved over the years through people we met and our own experiences and encounters and investigations to what we are now. And it's completely different and far more complex. And we still don't really know what we're dealing with at this point.
We started out flesh and blood, and that's no longer true.
Yeah. No, right. Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yep.
When I started the podcast, I was just coming onto this, like, what I at the time, I thought it was an original idea. I was scared to talk about it. I was like, I think Bigfoot might be like some kind of Nephilim remnant. Yeah. And I was like, but I'll get crucified if I talk about that. And I was just coming out of my shell with it when I started the podcast, and now like here we are years later, and it's like, yeah, probably and more.
So we started out like that too. We was kind of like, we had the idea about it, and then we had a few things where like raising our eyebrow, like, this is kind of weird. And then we had discussions with other people, conversations, but publicly on video, we wouldn't mention it a lot at first. But we go to like these festivals and conferences where we speak to public people, and we kind of dip our toe in the water with it. And people start gravitating towards it. We're like, okay, we can maybe go open with this now and see what happens.
We have people who will travel, 2 or 3 states out to come and meet us in person and to personally thank us for not being afraid to stand on the scriptures and how we use the scriptures to explain a lot of the activity that we have in the woods. And so, whereas it was a scary part to step out on faith, once we've done it, I mean, there's no looking back now. I mean, so it's been a great experience.
So okay, he's wanting to hear some of these stories.
I do.
Okay.
The audience is like, tell us what you're talking about.
We're politicians. You ask us a question, we'll go around it. So that's how we did it. But how'd you do it? Okay, so it started off.
You voted out.
So we started off by water. We'll keep that to the end. We're by water.
Yeah.
It's at the place called Henry River. This is where our primary investigation area is.
That's a very long river for everybody that they want to come look for us.
Hickory, North Carolina is what we're just going to say. Hickory, North Carolina, near the South Mountain State Park. About an hour or two drive to Uwharrie. So we started there. It started out, I'm just going to give my introduction to it and let David take his and how Tate came, just our whole normal routine. Mm-hmm. So started out pure skeptic. I show up and there's Indiana Jones, which was David at the time, that everybody told me my first time, which I always grew up believing in Bigfoot, not believing in Bigfoot, but hearing Bigfoot stories. I started out pure skeptic. So didn't believe in, I was like, they're full of crap. So my first time there, they're like, yeah, wear camouflage, all this. I show up in camouflage. Everybody else is dressed normal. I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, who lied to me? So I guess that was my initiation. And so David doesn't remember me being here on this time. And I'm watching David and he's giving, so this is my first one going in. David, you can tell what you did in me witnessing this and him dressed as Indiana Jones.
You were really dressed, whip and all?
Not the whip, but
the whip. I dressed cool. I'm dressed like an idiot.
I definitely have all the gear. Let's put it that way. I actually have I just got the jacket.
Here's the politician rant.
It's a movie accurate jacket I just got. So, I've got the hat and everything. But yeah, it is really cool. Well, you want to look the part. People expect you to look the part. So, anyway, we're there.
You can make your own part.
It's boring. I mean, it's a long night. They showed up. It's a Tuesday. It's 9:00. It's 2:30 in the morning. We all got to go to work. Be up 6:00 to go to work the next day. And it's terrible. Okay. And we're down at an area where they were calling it the Nest.
It's like 2011 or 12.
It's 11 or 12. Yeah.
I was right out of school.
It's been a minute.
Right out of high school.
You just graduated. And so they claimed that they had found an area where maybe one of these things had been sleeping. I hadn't saw any evidence, no rocks, I hadn't heard a peep or nothing. But I've heard them give out all these calls all night long, and I'm an invited guest, so I didn't overstep my bounds. And so we're packing up, cameras are all off, everything's done. And I asked Rex, I said, you mind if I give out a call? And he goes, yeah, sure. We will not be doing it in the studio. I will break everything in here. So I gave out what I think is a very accurate Sasquatch call. And it's long, it's loud, it's drawn out. And I mean, then I stop. Then here comes the coyotes across the mountain. They start howling. This jackass starts he-yawing.
Not Taylor.
I mean, really. I mean, this is like just over a knoll, and there's a small mountain, and then way off behind that, when it starts, everything just goes quiet. You hear, oh, I mean, it's big, long. I mean, it's a lot louder than that, mind you. And I just looked at everybody. I'm like, what was that? And Rex looked at me and says, David, that was a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And I have been hooked ever since. I mean, there were times where I was going twice a week.
Yeah.
Every week we did not miss a week. And we did this for like 5-6 years straight. I mean, I was a certified Bigfoot junkie.
Yeah.
But then your children grow up and you want to start being there more for them, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of say, okay, I got to pump the brakes on this. And, they call me Super Dave, but I'm also a super dad. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, the super dad, for sure, you were a good dad. You're still a good dad.
I'm a great dad.
You were a good dad. Yeah, you good dad.
But so that was the first time for that. And I think that got me and you kind of hooked. But I was still skeptic because I was like, man, coyotes do that all the time. And so we were there probably.
It was like 2-3 years later.
I got 100 pounds ago for me. That was like right out of high school. So we went. So we were down there like a couple weeks later, maybe about a year later.
It was a year later.
This was like, man, we were like, man, we're cool. But I was still
June,
like on the fence. And
June.
I go down to the right beside the river, not knowing this is water at the time. Just keep water. I don't know. That just sticks out to me. Near the water at the time, and they're like, hey, Taylor, why don't you give your first tree knock? Because at the time, I was still the skittish, like, man, what is that? Didn't believe in Bigfoot, but I was like, hey. And we would hear like stuff hit beside us, but at the time, I didn't think of rocks. I was like, oh, this is stuff just falling out of the tree, dismissing it. I give my first tree knock. Something hits behind me. Size of a Bible. On camera, you see me hit the ground, crapping my pants. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, we have all this on video.
Yeah. So that I was like, okay, that scared me to death. I was like, you can, and where we investigate, one way in, one way out. There's nobody that can, at the time, it was just like walking trails through the woods. Nobody could punk us. Nobody could come out there and scare us. You would hear them run off. So that kind of got me hooked. And I'd always tell Tate, fast forward a couple more years, I'd always tell Tate, man, there's some crazy crap going on out here. Just like the night the thing hit behind us and I plowed through the camera. Like these rocks, man, they're not pebbles. Some of them are, but they're like, you can hear these things flapping through the woods like it's nothing. And
we've got 4-pound rocks.
Yes. Yeah. I wish we could have brought some.
We've got so many rocks that we actually would date them.
Yes.
And then just kind of set them up.
So at the time, that's before this is flesh and blood. There's no such thing as a flying, disappearing, cloaking, whatever you want to call Bigfoot. There's no such thing as Dogman. There's no such thing as any of this. So this is when we kind of get to fast forward a little bit. We've got some, you want to tell the locking myself in the car story before we?
So yeah, we're out one night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we always used to have nicknames and I got mine. They're no matter where I've ever been with a group, they've always called me Super Dave. Okay. There's a reason for that. I'm not afraid of anything but spiders. All right. Yeah. That's it. So Taylor had already got the nickname Taylor Run because the night the rock got through the woods, he plowed me over trying to get behind me.
It was terrifying.
It was unnerving. I about broke my leg chasing this thing through the woods because I stepped in a hole.
And you could see a silhouette.
Yeah.
But
you could see the bushes. It was so far ahead, you could see all the movement through the bushes, but you couldn't see a creature.
Yeah.
So, here again, it's 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. All the cameras are dead. We have nothing.
That's the best time, dude. No cameras.
It's cold.
It always happens.
And so we're where we call base camp, and it's a mile drive out through this little narrow winding road. And so we're at the car, and all of a sudden, it is the most visceral, loud scream roar that I've ever heard. And it's just Yep, that's what I heard.
You're good at those sound effects, by the way.
I heard the 3 distinct sounds of doors slamming behind me as these guys, not Taylor wasn't with us, dove in the car and locked themselves in. And terrifying. I am walking towards the sound of where this thing came from. I've got to see. I've got to know. And all of a sudden, I hear, Davey, come get your car, Davey. And I look back and Taylor's lips are stuck through the window.
Literally.
Davey, come get your car. Go get your car. We're going to go, Davey.
David come walking over with a wet spot in his face.
They're begging me to go. And I'm like, I've got to know what that is.
And you know the closest thing now I can explain. Have you ever heard a lion roar?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like they're...
Oh, it was awful.
You can do a lion. A bear roar has nothing on what we heard.
No.
It was like a lion mixed with... You could just... Oh my God. It was like so strong. If you were walking wobbly, it would have like knocked you down. That's the only thing I can. It was the scariest sound I've ever heard in the woods. That's when I became an official believer. And that's when I called you and I was like, you've got to come. Something crazy happened. This is when Tate come onto the scene. We fast forwarded through a lot of the bull crap. We think we seen it.
There's 7 MacBooks. Each one has a terabyte. Okay. You know how many hours it takes to put a terabyte on a MacBook? There are 7 dedicated to us right now, just sitting in archives with our film footage.
That's just old
we were
footage
filming for a local cable network.
Let me ask you a question about that. Are you guys buying a new computer every time you fill it up? Why don't you just do external hard drives?
This was before we got into YouTube.
Hard drives.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is before.
Okay.
Rex would have to go buy the little MacBook hard drives to plug in because he has this iMac. I mean, his computer screen is like as big as your TV screens back here.
Yeah.
He's got 12 of them, hit 13 of them right now.
Okay.
But 7 of them are dedicated to us.
And what got him looking for Bigfoot on that property is because the weddings and people that were having weddings were hearing stuff stomp through the woods.
Really?
There's a history on this property. It's not just, hey, we're 3 guys. We found a random. No, there was history before we came.
That's what brought you there.
Yes.
Family heritage too. Like his family's owned it since what 1800s or back.
227 years.
And they've had the Sasquatch encounters since then. Yeah, you can tell about the pickle. No, go ahead, because I got to do my introduction. You go ahead.
There was a pickle jar on his thing. They heard something come through the house, right?
In the snow. It'd be in the snow. Yeah.
Stole all the pickles out of it. Woke up the next morning. There was big tracks leaving. Is that how the story went?
It was a gallon. It was a gallon crock of salt pickles.
Yeah.
And if you've ever had a salt pickle, I mean, it's all you can do to eat one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's going to come out in like 40 inches of snow?
Yeah.
In like 1904.
That was before chemtrails.
Yeah.
So it snowed a lot in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And back in the day.
Whatever they're called.
It gets handed through a window. You know, this is an old cabin. It's like an old 2-room cabin. And eat a gallon of salt pickles in one setting and leave.
Yeah. But, so that happened. That was just some of the history. Now Tate gets in and he witnesses. You go, take it away, big shot.
Oh yeah. You want to talk for me? No. So I'm gonna segue from the yelling in the car, locking, all that stuff. But first, so Taylor and I have been best friends pretty much our whole lives.
Since T-ball.
Yeah. You know, we went to different schools, but we played recreation sports together and grew up together and went to high school together, all that stuff. So we got out of high school. He starts doing this Bigfoot dope, as David calls it, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to know that stuff, you know. But
I'm trying to get a girlfriend.
Yeah. But no, so he'll call me every Friday night because that's when they do their shoots, and then they'd have it on the local station, you know. But he'd call me every Friday night and be like, man, this just happened. Rock hit a tree, or David, this yell, you got to come. And then finally, the night that happened that they talked about previously about the car door shutting and slamming and the visceral roar, lion yelling, that's when I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a shot, because out of the 3 of us, I live the closest to the properties. And I was like, this is in my backyard. I don't think Bigfoot is really going to be in North Carolina, Hickory, North Carolina, and be like, you know, my backyard. So that's why I've dismissed it completely. I didn't really not believe in Sasquatch, but I was like, I don't think it's this local. So we end up going, and I come out, and it's basically, this is when Squatch Watchers were kind of born. They had the name, and we didn't have the YouTube channel yet and stuff, but they were still, well, I'll say we were still Squatch Watchers.
A band. We had a name.
Squatch. We were the band running around the local bars. Yeah. But no, so it was a Squatch Watchers, but we hadn't started our YouTube channel yet. And I come in the cabin, the base camp, they call it. And it's basically turned into like I don't know if y'all set me on a blind date with this guy, or if it was like a Bigfoot tryout, a Squatch Watchers tryout.
Yeah.
But we had another guy that came along, and he was a guest.
Awesome guy.
He was a good guy.
He really is.
And he was super in. It's like, you had me over here, like, hands in my pocket. Psh, yeah, whatever. Cool, yeah. And then he's over here, Bigfoot. You know, he's all about it, knows everything.
That's why he didn't make the team.
Yeah.
No. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. But anyway, so we go out in the woods, and we go on the main trail, start doing the investigation stuff. I'm learning the ropes of everything, and, you know, doing the tree knocks. Hear a few suspicious pow, pow in the distance. You know, we don't know. Could be a 22, could be a tree knock. I don't know at the time. What really got me was the rock throwing. You know, ergo the rock throws. So David tells me we communicate with these creatures by throwing rocks and wait for a response. Okay. So
stacking rocks. Gifting. We forgot.
Well, the
that.
gifting.
But
yeah. But so
dangerous.
Yeah. So I take a rock, throw it off in the woods, and mind you, this is like a 20-foot, 30-foot drop-off ridge, and then it goes back up to the other side, and it's just wilderness, uncharted wilderness.
What's
off
between
the grid.
the ridge?
Yeah.
What's between it?
The Bigfoot Underground. That's another.
The water and the river and the Bigfoot
the river. Yeah, the Bigfoot Underground. We can get in that. There's so many stories. I know we've got
Bigfoot
limited time.
Underground.
Yeah. That's a classic. So throw this rock in the middle of the night into this uncharted wilderness, and we just stand there and wait. A few minutes go by. Yeah. 3 hours later. No. So we're waiting, and all of a sudden you just hear.
Sounded really good.
Yeah. And I was like, what's that? And David's like, that was a rock getting thrown back. And I'm like, okay. So then we go to the gifting side, and I learned about that, which that wasn't really, that's one of the things it's a delayed thing. You know, you just gift and then you see what happens. But we got to talk about that at some point. You need to talk about it, about why we have, which we've shied away from that. But long story short, back to me getting into the group, I was basically hooked that night and I wanted to keep doing it. And I was kind of a shoo-in because Taylor, you know, we was best friends. He kind of got me in.
Yeah,
and
then, you know, Cheetos
but
and a bucket and everything.
Yeah.
Initiating.
But then David, like, I got to know David and like, he's one of my brothers now and best friends. I'd literally go to war for him anytime, anywhere. And we're just a fellowship of brothers and we hunt Bigfoot and we call it the unknown now because it's Dogman, paranormal, aliens, everything.
It is
always kept God first.
Yeah.
Unknown watchers.
Yes.
Yeah.
What for you though? What was it? You know, you go out that night and you go out there, hands in the pockets, whatever, and then you walk away hooked. Was it the rock throwing that hooked you?
The rock throwing hooked me because it was the physical evidence. Like it was the, you know, it was the audio, and you were there experiencing it in the moment. You can't explain it. Like, you know, rational. Smell. The smell happened too, but the rationalization of it, it's like, okay, you try to rationalize, could it be this, and this, and you start Xing them off, dropping them off. It's like, okay, then it might be what they say. It's a Sasquatch. But the other thing that got me that night was the intangibles. Now, I'm an avid hunter. I've been my whole life because my dad's just been crazy about deer hunting, turkey hunting, duck hunting, dove, anything. If it's got legs or wings, he'll shoot it. That's how I've been. I've been an avid hunter my whole life. And when I go out in the woods and hunt in just random areas that we either own land or have a buddy that lets us have access, I never get the same feelings that I get at the properties we investigate the unknown. And the feeling I'm going to describe it as you feel like there's a predator effect or some sort. Like there's something bigger than you, stronger than you, smarter than you that is around you, but doesn't want to be seen, and you're not going to see them, but they're there. It's that presence feeling. And that's the properties we go to investigate basically daily, weekly, what have you. That's the only areas of the woods I go into and I have that feeling. Ever since that first night I went, I've had that feeling. Normal woods, I go hunt for game. I never have that feeling. It's just, I'm out there by myself and then animals just happen to come by. If it's the right one, I shoot it. Yeah. You know, I've never had that feeling anywhere else, just on our properties. And that's what got me really hooked.
That's fascinating.
And then like, so you're hooked, they're hooked, we're all hooked. We bring in these skeptics then. Not going to name drop because I don't know how the licensing works with that.
Yeah.
So some guys that played in professional football came with us, and pure skeptic. His first time, they've came with us, 5 times now because they're addicted to it. He brings at the time we thought was amazing. He's an avid hog hunter. He hunts them. He does the night hunting and all that. And he brings his like expensive camera, like over $3,000 top camera, FLIR or whatever, night scope. And every time he would put a fresh battery in it at this location near a gifting spot, and ends up being the spot where David passes out. If you think back at it now, it would go dead, bam, on the spot. We'd film a little bit, go dead, bam, on the spot. It was cold, but we would charge them, go dead. Every time we go through that spot, any other time it worked great. So fast forward that a little bit. They came back. I'm just trying to fast forward these stories. Just because.
We have to, yeah, 100%.
They came back, and that's whenever they came back, and that's whenever that happened, and we found these prints with them, and they walked their own trails, and we found the Coke bottle, we found the glow stick. You can get into that story if you want to.
So I'll tell everybody really quick. So
we need it because it leads into the footprint.
We have an area we call the gifting site, and it's been an active area for like 10 or 12 years. It's almost it became an altar. And we didn't realize that it became an altar. So the closer your walk gets with Jesus, then things are revealed unto you. So before we realized we had an altar to these beings, we had set up an area where we had this gallon jar rigged with popcorn, and the idea was we're going to dispel hey, it's a raccoon, it's a possum, it's a this or it's a that. Something's going to have to take the lid and screw it off of this jar. So then we go down about a half a mile, and we leave a Coca-Cola hanging in a tree with like the little neon glow in the dark necklaces hanging to it. And from there, we went down, and Yeah, that's pretty much it. Was it?
Yeah.
And we did this like in either
January, February.
This is a
late
few years after the
January,
Bigfoot Underground
early
thing.
February. So but it was definitely winter. 18, 19 degrees. So we go back the next week because we were going to have our guests there. So we were baiting, if you will, so that we could make sure we had, we wanted to be a blockbuster event. Had no idea it was going to be a blockbuster event. So we get to the site, and sure enough, something has taken and it's removed the lid on this big glass jar of popcorn. And it's still tied to the tree. It's like 6.5, 7 foot off the ground. All the popcorn is gone, and the lid is a metal lid, and it's just scratched pretty heavily. We're thinking, okay, this is interesting. So then we get on up a little ways, and we find the Coke bottle is gone out of the tree, and there's only one glow-in-the-dark necklace hanging there that's obviously not glowing anymore. So we search around, and we find the Coke bottle. Now, with these little bottles right here, you could take it, hold it up, and go and suck some of the air out of it. But like with a Coca-Cola bottle, there's more substantial,
more plastic. Yeah,
yeah. It's a much more rigid bottle than these little thin plastic water bottles here. Whatever opened this up appeared to take the cap off, and it looked like it had taken and went and vacuum sucked the whole bottle, just mangled up, twisted flat, like you just imploded it. And it was just tossed aside in the woods. And we were ecstatic. Now, it is 19 degrees. I am in full, winter gear, and I'm comfortable, but I'm cold. I'm ready to go back to the cabin.
Normally the one one of the skeptics that's always wanting to go back to the cabin, that's the only reason we went this time.
So he convinced us to go down to the river. I'm like, okay. The reason I didn't want to go down to the river is
the skeptic,
one of the professional football players.
So he wasn't trying to go back. He was ready
he wanted to go to the river, and I'm like,
okay.
Yeah.
And he usually doesn't. He wants to go in the cabin, camp out, and sleep. Get a night in early. And this night he wanted to keep going.
So if we walk down this crazy hill, I mean the walk down's great. We got to walk back up. Yeah. I did not want to make the walk on that hill.
He's a football player. He'll carry you.
Yeah. I was actually I was not healthy back then. Yeah. Okay. I had some medical issues going on, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. But we did. We get down there. Now, keep in mind, I'm a Christian, and while I'm still a man at the end of the day, and I'm going to say a curse word every now and again. But apparently I lost my religion when I found this footprint. It is the best Bigfoot print I have ever found to date. And there were two of them, but one of them was perfect, full, pristine. And if you go and watch the video, I can't quit saying the F word.
And you'll find out who,
so then, not only that, I'm like, don't move. Because right next to the print that leads, that to me, it's there's no way, guys, we can't fake this stuff. Where the bottle was in the woods, a mile away, the missing necklace that was holding the Coke bottle on there was laying beside the footprint.
For real?
Yes. All on video.
All on video.
Wow.
Documented,
This is on your YouTube channel now?
Yes. It's called We Find Bigfoot Prints with NFL players.
Yeah, if you type in NFL Bigfoot, it's probably going to pop up. Yeah. Views, hashtag.
So we refuse.
Like and subscribe.
If you don't like clickbait, don't watch.
Yeah. You ain't clickbait and you ain't trying.
So, and of course, we casted. It is the best casted print to date for us. And we've cast several prints, and we just found a couple, some in September. We found two in September.
Well, see, the thing about it, water. I'm going to say it again, water.
By the water.
This thing
blew my mind after
it went into the water.
Yeah, the perfect
this thing
pristine.
was going into the Henry River.
Yeah.
You'll see one print, the left footprint is fully visible right on the sandbar. Okay. The right footprint only has half of it where the pad, the toes are stepped right where the toes touch the water, right into the water.
So this is like soft ground. So you're
sand.
We thought it was hard. We thought it was. Luckily, we had an NFL player with us that played tight end that weighed 300 pounds.
320, 330 pounds. Took his shoes
it's not
off.
A fat shame.
Y'all calling him fat. That's
huge.
Big.
He's
Dude,
huge.
He was chiseled out of stone.
He's like Steven Seagal.
On dope.
No, don't start that.
I was going to say,
He's
like a retired Steven Seagal.
He definitely looks much better with shorter hair.
But luckily, we had him with us, and this guy is huge. He takes his shoe off on the video,
jumps up and down the side of it, can barely even make a dent in his
Really?
Can't make it look like it. Nothing. They were like
barely an imprint.
And what made them believe it that night was because we were watching it. D'Angelo. Okay, they're gonna watch the video. It was D'Angelo Williams. Okay, they're gonna watch the video. They're gonna see it.
Gary Barnes is D'Angelo Williams.
He played for the Carolina Panthers. Whatever. I ain't gonna get into his history. It's Squatch Watchers.
That's right.
So that's what made him like, man, we wasn't even gonna come down here until I wanted to come down here. I was like, we're full game. We're going in now. So David's flipping out. He gets me to call
to leave. I was not leaving.
His fiance.
He's laying next to the printer going, my precious.
Yes.
Exactly. That's really what it was. I'm not leaving this beeping spot. But so that happens, and we call the girls. They bring the casting, and I can't remember where the heck I'm going with this, but he's stepping on it, and so they were like, "Yeah, you can't."
He's trying to make
the print.
No. He's stepping on the side of
So
it.
trying to recreate it.
So the girls
trying to debunk it.
Bring the casting and all that, and while we're casting this print, watching it, y'all remember what happened?
A huge rock, a huge
hits the water.
Yeah.
And
wait, hold on a second. I'm confused. What just happened here?
Okay,
I heard sound effects.
Okay, so
we're sitting here casting the print.
Okay? Yeah, after the girls,
and we're and we're not filming because we're sitting here literally waiting for plaster of Paris to dry. Okay, and while we're kneeled down and we're just I'm really good at what I do, and we're sitting here and all of a sudden this boulder hits the water.
Wow.
Okay, so when I say it's the Henry River, this river at where we're at is probably 65 to 85 feet across.
Yeah.
Okay. And at times, depending on the water level, it's never going to be more than 6 or it's at least 6 foot deep all the time. It can be as deep as 10 feet. Okay. And so we're at the 6 foot minimum at least. And something hits this water like it is nothing. I mean, and it's boulder size. I mean, because you throw a rock and it goes bloop. You get a little plop. This I mean, it's just this huge explosion of water.
Everybody freaked out.
And what's funny is we've heard this before in the past. We've just skipped those stories because it's happened, but they finally witnessed it.
Yeah.
And that's when they were like, holy crap.
Yeah,
and that's when D said,
look at the girls. Their ankles are getting cold.
He was ready
back to the cabin.
He was ready to go back to the cabin. And so we went back to the cabin, and all of us were just kind of silent and just in shock about it that night, because that was the night I think we were on tail of that, because
the closest we've been at that point
with the skeptics,
and they're hardcore skeptics, but they want to believe and want to find evidence. But
they're all football players.
Yeah.
So like they're interested in the topic.
Yeah.
Well, Gary started out interested in the paranormal.
You ever heard of the Euro? Yeah. Well, we'll get into that, but if you're around here, just go to the Euro Shrine. We done something with them over at the Euro Shrine in Bristol.
Okay,
Tony, you got to go.
We can get to this at the end.
Who warned you not to?
But that got me closer to God.
Really,
you got to go. Yeah, and ever since we stopped messing with that stuff, that's when our channel started really taking off and dedicating. But back to our property.
We got one thing about that detail. When me and you walked up, and see, the sandbar is like a mix of sand and dirt, whatever washes up. But when we walked up there on the footprints in the pitch black dark, we could have walked all over them and destroyed them.
Yeah.
What did we see that made us look down? Do you remember?
Oh,
test your memory.
Up in the tree, the break.
Yeah. I'm not going to say baseball bat. It's probably like a skinnier wiffle ball bat, like a wiffle ball bat sized branch.
We were looking around because we have a lot of tree breaks. And depending on where it's at what level, deers can break things, rub things and make it look like a tree break. But, this was at like the 8 foot level.
Yeah.
And this thing stepped off of a little knoll, and it just says, hey, I'm going to break this branch up here at 8 foot. That is probably, not quite a baseball bat, but not.
I said like a wiffle ball, skinnier bat.
We're not going to break and bend this thing, period. It's a live tree. It's not a dead tree. And we're certainly not going to just maul it off to nothing. And so we're looking up, and then when I looked down is when I saw the print.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh. I mean, we've seen prints before, but they're, that could be a print. And obviously, it's an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
No. This has got toes. It's got dermal ridges.
How big was it?
This is like 17 inches.
17 inches?
Oh, it would have to be
the toes. The toes on this thing.
I should have brought you one. You need to give me your address, and we'll send him one to put on his wall.
A copy of it. Oh, that'd be cool.
Yes, Okay, so that's whenever the old school David was rebirthed, and after that, about 2 weeks later, you were in the woods every day. Paige and I had something to do, some kind of dinner or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're leaving the property, and I gave you my pew-pew.
They were so afraid to leave me down there by myself that he wouldn't leave unless he left me a pew-pew.
Yeah, and gave him some protection. And as we're leaving, Paige, and we're hitting this road, she's like, I really hate we're leaving David down there. I'm like, well, we're coming back. It's cool. And this is where I guess I had my first clear of what I thought was a big, I don't know if it is now. I think it, but whenever we're crossing the top, all of a sudden you see, she's like, I really hate we're leaving David back there because you got crazy people like this guy. Whatever this was, Tony, I'm telling you, I get cold chills telling you it was like a solid black. At least I thought it was. But the more you think now, was it the predator effect? Whatever this was, boom, 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 3 steps. It kind of looked white, like whitish glowing eyes. Like it wasn't what people describe as a Bigfoot. And so she's like, what the heck was that? I was like, that's what we're out here looking for. And I called David, hey, there's something heading toward you. Because he was giving calls and stuff. I was like, there's something heading toward you. And I called David. I'm like, just make sure you're good. So on the way back, we meet David still there. We go out and do the dinner. We come back. And David's still there, and he meets us at the location where we found it. And you know how old country roads, the grass will grow real high. They just don't maintain it. Mm-hmm. So it was coming from right to left, crossed it, and where we thought we saw it cross, the grass was split.
Yeah.
And you're like,
walk through there.
And the more I think about it, who was it that was speaking about this the other day that was describing the creature of what? I was
exactly
like, wait,
what you saw.
And then fast forward about a few months later, and that's when y'all saw the fog.
So,
this is all on the same property?
All on the same property. That's why. And that's
everything we do is within a 4-mile triangle.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah. And there's an interesting fact I'm going to throw in it when y'all get done to your part.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say real quick. So,
give them our theory of why we get so much activity also.
Well, I'm going to get into one thing real quick. Destiny, meant to be, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Honest to God, I had no clue about this until, let's just say, the primary side we were on all the way through these years to that point, we had to kind of move because things were getting kind of intense. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, let's leave it at that.
Yeah, we kind of had to move.
He's had the guest on here.
I know, but we're not going to do that.
Okay.
We're not going to
Well, long story short, things got a little intense, and we had to basically make that a part-time location.
Yeah.
Okay.
But across the river,
that creatures always ran to, at least we thought.
It's like the forbidden lost land.
We've always wanted to get over there.
Yeah, and we never knew how to get over there, how to get access to it.
Without trespassing.
Well, yeah, we just didn't know. And there was always activity across the river. You hear our old videos, across the river, every time, across the river.
Who owns across the river, Tate?
So, like I said, segue into the destiny meant to be, my freaking cousin owns a big portion of the land. And it goes into this area called South Mountain State Park, which is a vast, we're talking regions and regions of land and mountainscapes. She owns the access point and a woods into that. And there's an old abandoned asphalt plant that we always enter into, park into, and stuff. And we barely get past that half the time because of activity.
I can't wait to come out.
But dude, my freaking cousin owned the land, and my dad told me, because she lives beside him, he's like, I think she owns part of that. I was like, I'm gonna ask her. So yeah, y'all can come. Yeah, I know Rex. I was like, okay. And there's destiny meant to be.
We walk right beside the water of the river.
Yeah.
And then what do you know? Right through, we can see our old land.
What were you saying about the reason we get activity? What would you want?
Oh, the reason we think we get activity is because we hunt everybody's like, y'all can't get that much activity. Y'all, there's no way. We investigate the same area nonstop. A bunch of people are just, here one night, we're here. Like the TV shows, they're only in one location at 4 days and then they're gone.
Not even.
Yeah. And
if you have a, let's just say, an hour TV show,
yeah,
you could shoot a lot of footage in a day.
Yeah. And that to me, it's a blessing. That's when fear rock. was discovered. And
Fear Rock.
We named it Fear Rock. We named like with the Bigfoot Underground.
So
That's
the
where
Bigfoot
Tate had
Underground, really
his
quick,
first
it's just an area on the property where we used to go all the time that had a tornado come through, and it had so many trees down.
Yeah.
In this valley, you could walk on these giant trees. I mean, you would be like 12 feet off the ground. You wouldn't know anything was under you.
Perfect tunnel.
So we're filming in this, and I'm out here, bouncing around and doing my normal Super Day routine. And then one of the viewers points back and says, "What's that underneath you?" There is a Bigfoot right underneath us in the Bigfoot Underground.
Yeah,
you can see the eyes looking at you.
Really?
It would be. That kind of fits the description.
I know.
Yeah.
Bigfoot, but a creature of some sort.
It's not like what you describe a Bigfoot. It could be a fallen angel.
But right under our feet while we were filming, and we didn't even know it was
what we think it is. Right. We're not 100% saying it's a Bigfoot.
Now, I think I saw it. That's how we found that's how we found it
the day before.
That's how we found it, because the day before we were scouting. We were going to do a 24-hour hunt. Terrible idea. It was a terrible idea. Yeah. But we were going to do a 24-hour hunt, really, and we scouting for campsites on the property to set up camps, base camps, and it's getting sunset, and we walk back out on the main trail, and I'm looking across at the Bigfoot Underground, the ridge and everything. You can see the sun through the trees and stuff. I see this massive figure that's like a grayish black. And all I see is the shoulder, and it's like muscular, and it turns and jumps down into this Bigfoot Underground, the lush tunnel and trail. And I'm thinking first, well, maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me because the daylight, it's getting kind of dim and dark. But then I was like, no, because that was too specific for it to not be something other than I play. And I'm like, when Taylor and the other guy was with us come out, I was like, guys, I think I just saw my first Bigfoot. I was like, where? We started looking at it, and then we was like, well, here's what we'll do. We're not going to find it. So let's come back tomorrow and let's investigate in the daylight. We got daylight, be safer. And then David could come with us because he wasn't present with us at the time. And that's when we come back and the Bigfoot Underground is discovered. And I mean, the thing's standing right under his feet.
He was pale that night because he's like, I don't know how it got gone so quick. And then that next day, that's whenever we discovered the canopies, the portals, the bending trees, just a line of them right down the gully.
All right, so
straight to the water.
So you're saying the next day you discovered the Bigfoot Underground, and you call this because it's like
it's a tunnel system,
like because of the tornado.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so many trees down it. It looks like there's tunnels down to it.
And so you can climb through and
there's actually an access point, like any of us could actually get down into, crawl into, and you could probably almost, I wouldn't say fully, but you could almost stand up.
So you could stand up in that, brother.
Well, that's why I didn't want to say it, but
so
I didn't
created
to stand up.
So they kind of created its own little cave, and
it's like a hideout, and that's where a lot of the activity happens. It's like, holy crap, we might have found the spot they're hiding and messing with us.
Now, why'd you say portals? Like, what makes you think that there's portals there?
I think a portal in the areas where we're at. I believe there's portals everywhere.
Yeah.
I also believe that they have the ability to cloak. I would have told you that people were talking about cloaked Bigfoots were just, cloaked beings, period. I would have just called bunk, and I would have said there's no proof of that. These guys had a sighting one night where I was goofing. We were talking about just crazy stuff, and then these two got scared to death because they saw something that I didn't see anything. And it was the first time they think that they saw a cloaked creature of some sort.
It was freaky.
And we caught this was like, we were on the new land, but this was like kind of before, I guess it's about the same probably, when you're scared to post a video with a title like, man, they're going to think we're crazy. And we posted it and everybody's like, oh, that's such click. No, we thought we saw, it was like, the leaves were just like, leaves were moving, but we couldn't see what was coming. We was like, whoa, and then sure as crap.
I know this sounds, from my perspective, I know it sounds a little odd, but it looked to me like a black translucent rabbit, and you just seen that like moving through the leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the dark, by the way, and I'm just like, what was that? But what was weird was I saw it, and I didn't really say nothing. I kind of my heart skipped a beat, and I kind of jumped back and had chills. And then Taylor's like, oh my God, or whatever he usually does reacting. Yeah.
That scared me to death.
It's the first time I've ever seen Tate scared.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I just experienced or saw. I didn't know.
And that's how I'm like, this is serious. Because I'm goofing around. He's scared.
And we've been introduced to the paranormal at this time. This is whenever we're starting to get into like, okay, this could be the paranormal stuff to it. But
I got to throw in one thing real quick. I want to ask you a question about this. So we done a documentary with the NFL guys, and they had a camera crew come. We kind of done a video, and it's documented on our channel. You can watch it. But I take a rock, and I think Gary told me to try it, or whoever. I don't know. I may have just tried it myself, but I take a rock, big size rock. I do like this, throw it behind my shoulder, over my head. Behind me is a little bit of a drop off, like a hill, into a small creek and an embankment and, woods on the other side. I mean, we're talking land, water, trees everywhere. I mean, and we're in the dark. I throw this rock over my shoulder behind my back. We're waiting to hear or whatever. We hear nothing. What do you think about that? We never heard it land.
Was one of the players a receiver?
He was a running back. He catch one out of the backfield.
And the other was a tight end.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know what to think about that. I mean, I don't want to go down.
It's hard to answer.
Well, I mean, I don't want to.
How we,
Okay, so, hi, I'm Tony. I'm weird. And
hi, Tony. I'm Tate. I'm weird too. Yeah.
Hi, Tate. So you're talking. Is this at the Bigfoot Underground?
This was on the new side where we had. This is the forbidden lost land that we figured out we could actually have access to.
So Bigfoot Underground is the other side.
Oh, yes, it's on the original side, the OG side. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there is the idea of the portal side of things.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's so weird. We were talking about how far we've come in our mindsets, that I think that is the most logical explanation.
I mean, yeah,
that's where we're leaning.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
But I mean, if you don't hear it come down and you threw it this rock and you don't hear anything, so it's interesting because I mean, people think like portals being like this, but they could be like this.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially when it comes to you guys like the Stranger Things TV show.
Oh my God,
the Upside Down.
I cannot wait for this last season.
But portals. Real quick, sorry to interrupt you, but portals to me, I always think of Doctor Strange and those type of portals. When I see it, it's like,
so think of a portal like a thinning of the veil, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be a circle. Sometimes they are, but it can be the thinning of a veil, a threshold. That's what a portal is. It's a doorway, it's a gateway. It's the threshold. You're crossing a threshold into something else, and that threshold can be above. It can be below. I've said it on the show many times that Stranger Things is way more accurate than what people realize.
Thank you, my God, thank you. Because I tell these guys all the time, they tell us more than we ever know on movies and television shows.
Yep.
I have a strong suspicion that the directors of that TV show were given a lot of their ideas, either handed over ideas, or I think more than likely they think they dreamt it up in a dream and it was given to them in in the astral.
Yeah.
They wake up. That was a trippy dream. That would be a great TV show.
Yeah.
But you realize that the whole Stranger Things is based on.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely based off reality to certain extents, but how far do you want to go with that? Well, I go very far with it. But I say that because I think it's in the fourth season, the last one with the what's the new character that everybody loved? I can't remember his name now.
It was her
the rocker guy.
Yes.
The head.
Eddie Munson.
Eddie Munson.
Because he was named after
Eddie Munson. Yeah.
The that band's like skeleton guy, right?
Yeah.
So
Eddie Munson and that whole series. So the portal though was in the
lake.
In the lake, it was definitely it was not a vertical, but it was something that you could go down through or up through. And so
Pacific Rim.
Just using that, it's definitely something that in my mind could be something of that nature. And if you're experiencing all that crazy stuff and you're already going down the route of this could be something of the woo-woo nature, I don't like really calling it paranormal anymore. I call it more like supernatural. It's a supernatural nature.
Supernatural.
Yeah.
People always bash the woo-woo. I think there's more evidence of the woo-woo now.
When I introduce myself to when I'm speaking at like a Bigfoot conference, like I introduce myself as a woo-woo guy. Like I'm like, hi, I'm woo-woo, and I had this joke. it didn't land. But
it went through a portal. Right?
It went through a portal. It didn't reach the audience. Yeah. I was trying to tell. I'm not going to tell the joke. I'm going to tell the essence of the joke. But basically, I was saying how when I first came into the Bigfoot, scene of things back in 2015 or whatever, I had started a Facebook group called Pennsylvania Sasquatch Research, and in there, people are talking, and I saw this woo-woo stuff, and somebody would say something, and then somebody would comment underneath it, woo-woo, and I thought they were cheering them on, going woo-woo, and so I thought woo-woo was a good thing for a longest time, but I tried landing that joke, and maybe I told it bad or whatever, but anyways, no, it's definitely. As you go into these topics more and more, the more you when you get to a point where you're flesh and blood and you're having these things happen that are unexplainable and you're hearing other people's stories that are unexplainable, you have to start kind of broadening your perspective on this and saying, okay, what else am I missing here? And I think for people like us, we have we're able to do that because coming from a Christian theological background, you come from different denominations and all that stuff, but generally speaking, you're talking about a supernatural existence, and so you can kind of make that shift mentally, hopefully at least, because if you can't say supernatural existence, then really what is Jesus to you then? But
he is he's the definition of supernatural,
right? So but there is a whole branch of people who are not of that theological understanding, more atheistic, scientific, and I don't understand how they go through all this weird anomalous research and still keep hunting just a physical creature, what I mean. And I think I think that's why a lot of times people they'll go from, especially that aren't like us, they'll go from this physical side to the woo woo side, and it almost becomes like a worshipful thing. I've heard so many people say when they go into the forest, it's like their sanctuary. It's a spiritual experience. And I'm like, that's interesting. Yeah. And so it becomes that for people.
It could be though. It could be. Yeah. I want to go to Yellowstone at some point. I want to go experience God's creation and look at the awe and grandeur of that. But at the same time, I don't expect to go there to find Jesus per se, but who's to say he's not there? But if someone is using the wilderness or any property to surpass Jesus and say, hey, this is my sanctuary, this is my church. Well, who are you worshiping in that church? Mm-hmm. The moment you exit Jesus out of any of it is bad woo-woo. Bad juju. I'm sorry. You got to say
bad woo. There's a good woo and a bad woo.
I say juju.
Yeah,
that's bad juju.
Yeah.
So with us, the other night when he was knocking on the tree and he had the incident on the tree, we're not. I don't want to do a lot.
By the way, I just had something else happen.
I didn't do a lot of There's an old pagan ritual where it's knock on wood, which we're not going to knock on the desk here. The idea was the pagans would go out into the forest and they would knock on the trees. The idea is the demons lived in the trees, the devils, and the devils would come out and they would make a deal with the devil. They would ask a request of the devil. I need you to go and take care of my neighbor. I want you to go and blight his crop, or I need you to go. He slept with my daughter. Kill this guy. Whatever the case may be, they were making deals with the devil. So here we are out here knocking on trees all the time, and we're going, So we changed the way we do things, And so here's Tate. He's wailing away on the tree, and he has something happen. What happened to you, Tate?
Well, I'm gonna.
That side of the property's really messed you up.
By the way, we need
scratches on your neck.
Well, we need to get your back. We need to get the fear rock after this.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not going to get into details, but I'm going through one of the toughest times in my life. I mean, we're talking on the brink, and I'm okay, but I'm struggling with a lot of things. I'm struggling with something in particular, and just a lot of things. I ain't going to get into details about it, but it's affecting my everyday life, everything. And recently I've removed myself from the podcast. I've not really been on many investigations except these guys trying to drag me out there, which I appreciate. I love y'all for that. I appreciate it. And the select few times I've went recently, I've had very interesting experiences. And the last time we were out there, we had a new. We use a baseball bat now, wooden baseball bat to knock on trees, and that's kind of our thing, you know. Mm-hmm. But we had a new bat, and I was putting it to work, putting it to the test, and really, really knocking on trees. I was doing everything, you know. David's always said the same about 3 knocks good, 2 knocks bad. I was doing that. I was doing all kinds of crazy knocks, just trying to see what would happen.
He was being very aggressive and disrespectful.
Yeah, and let's say.
What do you think about that?
You were in a mood.
Yeah, I was in a mood. I was feeling some type of way for the younger folks. But so I'm through my supernatural experiences and paranormal supernatural investigating, I've always been very cautious and respectful, and I don't want to piss anything off. I don't want to take anything home with me, nothing like that. But now I kind of feel bulletproof. I just kind of feel like I ain't got nothing to lose. I have no fear, and I was taking a Zach Bagans approach to it.
Come and fight me,
and it's on camera. I'm just like talking smack to whatever's out there, Bigfoot, ghost, Dogman, whatever. We're hearing stuff by the way. We're having activity, and I'm trying to lure this thing out to us instead of always trying to lure us into it and distract us or whatever. I'm trying to get it to come out and show itself and do whatever. I'm like, oh, you ain't all, whatever. Just, I'm talking smack. And then all of a sudden, I get the most excruciating headache and sick to my stomach. And I'm asking them, I'm like, guys, you ever had a random headache just pop up out of nowhere and it feels like your head's just splitting in half? And then Dave is like, yeah. And
I'm married.
Oh, sorry, Shug. But yeah. So yeah, I'm having this excruciating headache that pop up out of nowhere, and I'm sick to my stomach. My legs feel weak, and I'm basically down on all fours, and I'm just kind of there trying to fight through it. They're around me, just make sure I'm okay, and trying to keep an eye on the activity and make sure we don't need to kind of get out of there if it's getting too bad. Mm-hmm. And didn't you start praying?
Oh, I was
prayed
praying
over me.
I was praying a whole lot of the time, but But when you got back up and wailed on the tree, what happened?
He wailed before it happened.
I got sick.
But no, so you left out a key point. He's wailed on the tree, and he's mouthing off, and you hit the ground.
Oh. Okay, so let me back up a little bit before I got sick. I was wailing on that tree and I was doing the Zach Bagans smack talk. I forgot all about that, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't.
Maybe I had concussion from it.
I didn't.
So I literally turned to walk towards David and Taylor. And at the time, we kind of were back and forth, but I didn't know what it was. It was a projectile. It was a rock. I'm going to go and tell you it was a rock. This rock flies right in front of my face, hits a tree beside me, and I just basically dropped to the ground. It's all on camera.
He dove.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get up the rest of the time.
And I'm laying there the whole time. Got sick, and then...
All right. So you said it was a rock flew by you, right?
It had to be a rock.
What happened to him, Taylor?
I thought it was a rock that flew by and hit the bark and splintered and went off somewhere. And then I asked him on the video, I was like, how's your walk with God being and all that? And you just basically told that story, what you just said. I thought it was a projectile coming through. Like, that's me.
Yeah.
And I think it came out of the tree.
Portal tree.
I think it came out of the tree because to me, it didn't look like something hit the twig. It looked like whatever the twig was exploded out of the tree.
You guys have it on video?
It's on video.
I don't know that you can see the whole.
I'm filming the other way. And then all of a sudden, when I'm panning back, that's when Tate's.
It's almost from what I've seen on the footage, it's almost simultaneous. Like he's panning back towards me, and all of a sudden you hear, or you kind of, you see me, and you hear, and then I dive, and it's just like, I'm telling you, it was a rock. I don't know where it came from, but it was a rock.
So take that situation, what you got going on now, and I don't want to get deep in the podcast, call nobody out, call you out, whoever out, but. Since this situation has started, we find Fear Rock, and then you get the scratches on your back.
And I do not like Fear Rock.
Are you you picking up what I'm laying down? But anyway,
but I don't
scratches on your back.
Yeah,
Paige's ear starts burning. I'm pretty sure Hillary has something going on, but this is Fear Rock.
Okay. I know what you're trying to say, but I'm gonna disagree.
Okay,
I'm gonna disagree just because. I don't think that has to do with anything with that. We've always thought since we started having the paranormal supernatural encounters, a polterpod. Got to get one. We need think, a new one. Yeah, we need a new one. Native American is kind of where we go for the paranormal supernatural realm, and we think that's what's tied into the Bigfoot activity, along with the supernatural activity we're getting. And in between all that, we're trying to deviate between those and distinguish also Dogman, because we've had some questionable stuff that we can't say is Bigfoot, can't say it's ghost.
And I didn't believe in Dogman until we saw the lights.
We're late bloomers on Dogman.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club, boys.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
And then we did that pot. So we were late bloomers. We saw the light flashing. Then all of a sudden this is on the new side of property near Fear Rock. After we find Fear Rock, we've got our polterpod. And whenever something scans through radios, there's no cussing in North Carolina on the radio. I don't know about Tennessee, but it'll beep out any type of F-bombs, any bombs you want to drop. But we were down there by the river when we found in a van down by there. We were down by the river where we saw these lights flashing, and there was these giant dog prints. We've got that on camera too. And they kind of just morphed into a dog down into the water, coming up off the bank.
Water.
But we fired up the polterpod, and Tate was asking a question, and
What's a polterpod?
So a polterpod is more pretty much a spirit box. A spirit box on steroids, pretty much. I mean, this thing, you got to get them special made. There's a guy that does it. I don't know his name. He didn't send me a free one, so I'm not going to give him a shout out. So what's crazy about that, getting to the polterpod, how good it is, we were at the place called the Euro Shrine. I'm not going to get into that investigation, but dude, this polterpod turned on the next day before we went back in the backseat of my Bronco, and it turned on a Christian station. I'm like, what the heck? That thing, it's easy to turn on, but it was like, and it got hung up on a Christian station. I'm like, what the heck? I go back, open the door, falls out, busts on the ground. So I have to put it back together. I've had to put this thing back together 3 times, and right now it's in half again. But we get to the polterpod, and we get to the near Fear Rock, and this is when we find the dog prints, and Tate's holding it. David's held our old spirit box on the other side of the property, and it does good with me and Tate. Well, on this new side of property, it does pretty good with Tate. Tate's like saying something. It's like, your mom. Tate's like, what about my mom?
Mm-hmm.
B-I-T-C-H is what is it? Yeah. It said, yeah. And I'm like, wow, you don't hear that very often. And this thing will like just cuss you on that side of the property, but is it? And it's all near the water. But the Dogman, it was dog prints, man. And they formed in like.
Well, there was a larger print.
Yeah.
That this is in a sandbar. And I mean, when I say sandbar, it's like walking on a sand dune. And there was a large print. And as it walked, I mean, and I'm going to make up.
Yeah.
It's probably 100 feet that you could see this track. And as it went, it morphed into a dog. It was a very weird. It was like maybe a footprint, maybe. I mean, because it's in sand, so there's no definitive.
It's on video.
This is fine soft sand.
This is like creek sand, okay? Play sand, if you will. It was a large print, and then it started, like the heel got narrow, and then the pads came out. You could start seeing like the claws for the dog,
Yeah.
And it went from, through this little 150-foot section, and then it went into a full canine and stepped into the water.
And what was weird is the only reason it got us down there at that time, we were up at Fear Rock messing around with the polterpod, and we saw this bright, it was like a white light just down there, and then you saw the amber lights across the river, and that got us all just down there, and that's when we found them. And I'm telling you.
See, here's the thing about us. We've had so many activities, encounters, what have you, and we go so UFOs. Many times. I mean, literally, UFOs. We are there almost weekly. So much footage that stuff we trash because nothing happens, or it's kind of debatable. But like we post the highlights on our channel on YouTube and social media. I don't run social media anymore, but I stick to the YouTube, and like. It's amazing how much activity we get. We forget about it. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, oh my God. And I just thought of one when you said that. The 2 big eyeballs just standing there, lurching over that tree, looking at us across the creek. And it just was like looking at us.
Moving on us.
Yeah.
It's
This
all,
is
that's
all on
on
the new
video.
side.
This
Yeah.
is
It's
like
on the new side, but it's
looking
on the
at the
old
old
side.
side.
So
it's like a
back and
15-minute
forth.
video.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's 2 seconds of something that floated and was gone. It's like
We had a staring contest with it.
Yeah.
Looking at the old side.
So, all right, you got the old side, the new side, and you said you do the old side part time. Have you guys tried doing where it like split teams on both sides?
We want to do that, and that may be in the works.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
This the best way I can put this, and I'm not knocking them off. If anyone out there is listening, we have what we call the North Carolina version of the Skinwalker Ranch. I am telling you, once you come, if you ever get to come, you're going.
We're accused of staging here lately, because we have so many rocks get thrown, and you're going to see me with rocks in my hand, waiting to pitch and toss, and you'll hear, if you ever watch the videos, it's like, okay, guys, this is me
throwing back.
I'll toss a couple, and I've got them obviously in my hands, waiting to throw some more. Spoiler alert, people, we do throw rocks, but we tell you when we do it.
Do you know? Do you guys? It'd be interesting if you haven't done this, and maybe you have. Do you guys map where on this property you guys have certain activity?
We used to on the old side, didn't we?
We had a whole map and everything.
We had an aerial map. It was pretty cool, and we would pin where we'd have encounters and activities.
But now we can take you right to them.
I mean,
the new side of the property, I'm telling you, when you see it, we don't really get deep in the woods. And
when we get through January, mid-January, all the hunting will be over with.
Yeah.
Bigfoot season.
Yeah. And then we're not worried, because there's only a few spots where, you say, hey, how did they get in here and why is there a deer stand?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to argue with the hunter because he's got the rifle. I don't.
That's the only bad thing about the new side. The other side was strictly us, strictly in there, besides the wedding people. And
I'm going to be honest with you, though, I don't know what they're hunting because there's a lot of times we don't ever see wildlife or any signs of it.
No.
So I don't know. It's
that's something too. D'Angelo goes on all those guided trips, and he said that this is the only woods, him, pure skeptic, that he's ever been into and never seen a squirrel. We've seen them occasionally, but never seen squirrels, raccoons, deers, nothing.
Well, that's now like me as a hunter. I've seen tracks on the new side, but it's not prevalent and it's not consistent. And like I was saying, you don't hear signs of squirrel. Like it's weird how it works. There's not signs of squirrel. I don't know what's going on.
We've heard coyote signs that time. That's what I was saying. The skeptics were there. Coyotes going crazy. You give out your call. Coyotes start going crazy.
Yeah.
D'Angelo skeptic. I keep referring back to them because it's a creditable skeptic. They had a name at the time. He still played at this time. He was playing with the Steelers at this time. And you give out the yell, you hear coyotes just going crazy. Won't shut up. We're like, guys, the night's gonna be ruined. And all of a sudden you hear David give your
big old yell. Just a Sasquatch yell comes in and just shuts them down. And they're, you got these 2 NFL guys looking at you like, what's that?
That's on camera too.
That's a Bigfoot.
That's
Wow. So you guys, I think you should map the area that you're on now. The area that you're on now, is so your cousin owns it, but it's public that hunters can go on it.
Well, there's parts of South Mountain that butts up to the property.
It conjoins, it intersects.
Gotcha.
So I think
you can't. We can walk so far in. We're actually on state-owned property. It's a national park. So I mean, and then there's portions of it you can allow to hunt. There's portions you allow
other people's properties too. But
I mean, there's this one section. We were doing a hunt for a video for Cabela's and Bass Pro. And I had been in a part of the property I'd never been to before.
Oh, you went way out.
Yeah. And I was not prepared. I didn't have any water. I almost had a heat stroke. And I got so turned around and I walked up on a sign that was as big as your wall. It says, "No trespassing. If you enter beyond this point, you will be shot. Do not cross this line. Do not cross the creek. Turn around and go back." And I'm like, I kid you not. And I'm like, holy cow. So I'm so far deep into the part of the property I've never been before. And I'm like, I don't know where I'm at. And so I'm like, well, I can't cross that creek. I don't know who I'm dealing with. And so, I never got back to base camp. And when I did, I really was in bad shape. I hadn't lost 30 pounds at that point.
I never knew what that sign said. Do you believe in the Men in Black?
I mean, I believe in shadow
Government.
Yeah.
I believe in shadow organizations.
Mhm.
I don't know if I want to call them the Men in Black.
Yes.
But yeah.
Okay. I think we've ran into a couple of those. I've got it on video.
Out there on the property?
No. So
Actually, yes, because they pulled up on our base camp.
Yeah, they
just
pulled
pulled in the
right
parking
at the
lot.
top.
Yep.
And then a SUV just kind of pulled up, sat there, and then
All
just pulled
blacked
off.
out.
All
So
blacked out.
we can give you a recent one. Tell them the recent story about McDonald's. Sorry to shout out McDonald's, but
we did a video a couple weeks ago called the Lyle Creek Bigfoot. Somebody called us. We went and done the interview with him. He didn't want to show his face. This is all, you can look this up. It's documented through the towns. You can look it up on Google. So we did Lyle Creek. The following 2 days, the Monday, the park is shut down due to killer bees. I pull up and I start filming the signs that say, hey, sorry, the park is closed down due to killer bees, whatever. And I'm like, I called David, and I called Tate, I'm like, guys, y'all won't believe this. The park's shut down because it's right near my house. And I'm like, this is insane. And we did the guy's interview. We went out and done the investigation. We didn't really find that much. It was within a neighborhood. There was a neighborhood on one side, but it run right beside of a river, water. So it's shut down. And then while I'm out there filming it, I swear to you, Tony, I swear to your listeners, I'm sitting here filming the signs, and I'm like, guys, this is really weird. For just an update for our like little podcast that we do, and just a follow up for the investigation. And all of a sudden, an SUV pulls up. I've got it on camera. I'm in my work truck. I'm filming. I'm like, everybody's commenting, why didn't you stop and ask them? Why don't you stop and ask people? So all of a sudden, it wasn't fully blacked out. Like it was like a Cadillac or something. Just pulls up, tinted windows, sits there and stares at me, and I just drive off. And I called them. And I'm like, it's weird that the park was shut down. I videoed it all. The park is shut down. The SUV pulls up for me and just stares. And then we go and do our investigation that week. And I wish I could contact that restaurant and see their drive-through.
Or the security cameras or something.
The security cameras. Tate and I leave. Tate's behind me. Tate's nosy. And
no, I just
I'm sitting there. I pull up to the window, and the lady leans out and says something. And I look back at Tate, and I'm like this. But she says, the car, not the car in front of you, but the car two in front of you paid for your food. And I'm like, oh, really? One, not this one. She said, not this one, but the one that pulled up. And I look up, and I swear on my life, God strike me dead. I'm a Christian. I do not swear like that. But the thing, it's a blacked out, and it's not what you would think. I mean, it was like a blacked out Charger. Literally.
Well, think about it.
See it gets on the interstate, and that was right after one of our investigations. Paid for my food, and Tate's like, "What happened?" Out the window, because I was like, I went back and I went, "Hey, yeah." Then I started thinking, and I was like, "Yo, that was a car two ahead of me." When I looked out, it was a blacked out thing, and then Tate's like, "What happened?"
Well, so he calls me in the drive-through. He's leaving. He's like, "Dude, I got my food paid for. I got it free." I was like, "Well, heck, I wish I got mine paid for." And then like he's telling me it was not the car in front of him. And I was like, "Well, who was it?" And then he's like, "That car went down the interstate that was just zoomed off." I was like,
"Yeah."
Oh, and here's the thing. Him and I both didn't recognize the vehicle. So we don't, it's not like someone that knew us. I don't, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I mean, people do that all the time, but I'm just like, coincidence.
But two cars in front, though. It's not like the one in front.
The same week, if I saw the SUV, the park got shut down. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Were we the ones that got the park shut down reporting the Bigfoot investigation? I don't know, but it was literally shut down. You can look it up. Lyle Creek Greenway in Conover, North Carolina was shut down due to killer bees.
You guys keep going. Water. There's water again.
Yeah.
Why?
So we didn't realize it, and this may not be that good, but we didn't realize it until now. We're starting to put back together. But so in the Bible, then David can get into it. How many angels are named in the Bible? Actually named, have a name to them.
4.
Mm-hmm. You got Satan, Michael, Gabriel,
and
Abaddon. Okay, what do we call like the ocean? What are different names for it? You got the sea.
Okay, sea, ocean,
the abyss, like
waters of the deep.
Yeah, waters of the deep, the abyss, all that. And now, David, you can just take it away with it and run with it. And then a couple weeks ago, 4 people for the government that were up there talking to the Senate, saying that the all the alien sightings are real. They're coming from the water.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just to keep that in mind, I mean, fallen angels to me.
When did they start the nuclear testing? Think about that. And where did they test that?
Nevada and stuff.
They did some in Nevada. Where did most of the nuclear
drops them in the ocean?
Yeah, most of the nuclear testing took place in the sea.
Crap!
I wonder.
Holy
why.
crap! That just gave me go.
I wonder why. They said in 1954, this when it's just what they, this is just all, tinfoil hat stuff on the internet. 1954 is when they discovered the presence of aliens in the ocean.
That's what they said in the hearings?
No, I didn't say in the hearings. That's just what you hear on the internet, the chatter and stuff, And I haven't done a lot of research on that, so I'm just putting it out there.
I just never thought about the dropping the nukes in the water.
But
they got videos and everything. Yeah.
I got to fact check that too myself.
It says right here in the book of Revelations, chapter number 9, it says fifth trumpet, above this, it says the locust from the bottomless pit. So,
and it says,
but hold on a second. It says the bottomless pit. Everyone thinks that there's going to be this hole that's just, you're going to look down. But, in the ocean, what's the deepest point that we know of?
Just the Titanic part.
The Mariana Trench.
Oh, okay.
The Mariana Trench is the deepest one that we know of. I'm not saying that it is the deepest one. But it says the fifth angel, it says, then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star falling from heaven into the earth. To him was given the key to the bottomless pit. Okay. And we're not going to go into all this. I mean, you guys can read, this, but it goes in and it says basically they're releasing Abaddon.
Yeah.
Okay. And Abaddon's coming from the bottomless pit and smoke arose from it. And so you were just talking earlier about Stranger Things, and the portal was in the lake. Pacific Rim, the portal was in the ocean, was in the Pacific Ocean. You get to the bottom of the spot. Well, how deep is the rift that's in the bottom of the crust? Where does that go to? Does it go to another dimension? It gets to be really scary, but there's always a water source when you're talking about this stuff with us. We're typically near water when a lot of our bigger things are happening. And it just happens to be that the Henry River walks or cuts through this property. And the further if you follow the Henry River back all the way up back through South Mount State Park, everywhere you go through there, you're going to find someone who's going to have a story, a remnants, something that they're going to talk about Bigfoot. Whether it's Nobby, the Tim Peeler incident, you get up through Kazar, all those, as you follow it back up, every community you get to is going to have some kind of activity that they're going to relate to a cryptid creature of some sort, whatever they choose to call it, whatever nickname, wood booger, Bigfoot, the bog monster. It makes no difference. It's there. But when you go back to scriptures, it's talking about the abyss, which is, rising out of the ocean. Well, it's just coincidental.
Yeah.
And I just happen to have a handy Bible here with me.
The locusts are supposed to have
pocket Bible.
It describes the locusts in it too, just the way they look. And is that the UFOs? Is that
the locusts actually have the faces of men, and they have teeth. And they say that when the locusts are released, they're going to, for so many years, they're gonna be released onto humanity, and they're going to bite and eat and tear at the flesh, but the flesh will never die, and that man will seek death, and death will escape them. So,
I just think like I said, it's kind of wild. I just think it was kind of weird. They gave him the keys to the abyss, and the deepest parts that we know of are in the water, in the ocean. They're saying that the locusts are going to come from the deepest parts. Is that the fallen angels? Is that the shape shifting? Is that you never know? And then you saying they're dropping bombs out in the ocean. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd heard that yet. And I was, and I'm a big Godzilla nut. Okay. Yeah. I love the Godzilla movies. Okay. And everybody says, well, that's all make believe. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? How do we know? How big were the dinosaurs that you guys knew of? Because you do know that according to the Bible, that we lived with the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It says we walked with the behemoth and we swam with the Leviathan.
I just had a biologist in here this week saying that dinosaurs still walk the earth in certain areas.
Absolutely. And they're documenting these things right now. And there's this one tribe out, and I can't tell you to the jungle, or it's when you hear about it being like a jungle or a rainforest, it's not where you think, hey, that's rainforest. And the local people are talking about this specific creature, and they call it a certain name. And they're like, oh, yeah, it lives down over and these dinosaurs are still walking and breathing and living. And you're going, but, that's the kind of stuff that I'm still skeptical. I'd like to see it with my own eyes.
I have a question for you, Tony, and it can be edited out. You can decline to answer it, whatever you choose. Is the earth flat?
No. No. Let me put it this way. I don't believe the earth is flat. If the earth was flat, it wouldn't change how I wake up in the morning.
See, I agree with you on that. You want to give your spiel?
About what? I don't think the moon landing's real at all. Like, I just don't. There's no way. That, to me, I'm not getting into that. It was kind of conspiracies. There's no way. Have they been to the moon? Possibly. But that one time that they were firing missiles at the moon, it rang like a bell or something like that. I mean, but anyway, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's flat. I mean, but there's not a real picture of the Earth from outer space. There's not a real one. And there's not a real picture of a satellite.
I just took a screenshot.
There's not a real picture of a satellite in outer space. All you see is the clips from NASA in their pools. But anyway, that's just me. But
the reason I thought about that question,
ice wall. Do you believe in ice wall?
And the dinosaurs. That's kind of what I was going with that.
You don't have to be flat to have an ice wall.
I know, but I was curious about that's where it comes from.
I don't know. I get weird about Earth. I get weird about it. TikTok was my worst thing I could have ever found because I don't know what I believe. I don't believe that the moon landing was real. You're telling me that he called them from a landline in the.
I think
left the cameraman.
I think there's a strong argument to be made that the moon landing, the first moon landing that broke the ice and everything, was hoaxed.
Yeah.
I think that it's definitely a possibility we did accomplish it. The biggest thing that I have on that is why is it that we can't get through the Van Allen belt now?
Bingo.
That's my thing.
Bingo.
Well, we lost the technology. I'm like,
That's why I'm like, do they really? I get it. There's stuff that orbit, like Starlink orbits and all that, but is it really as far away as they're saying it is? Or is there a balloon attached to it, carrying it, kind of like the Chinese spy balloon that they said was a Chinese spy balloon?
Which was created first?
Oh, here
the Earth or the stars?
So I saw this the other day, and I took a screenshot. It's so crazy that I took a screenshot of this because I don't even think about flat Earth stuff. But I just found it interesting because every time you see a round Earth from space, they're like, "Oh, it's a fisheye lens," but this doesn't seem like a fisheye lens to me.
Yeah, see, that's what I don't get. Like, so I saw that picture, and then I saw the. Remember when Elon Musk apparently sent the Tesla up to space?
Oh, that was a while ago.
It glitched out behind the screen.
Yeah.
Like that was like almost the same angle. But why can't it ever show like? Why is it always only go show like a little clip? Why can't they ever show like the full fledged thing? And then
just tell them you're a flat earther.
I'm not a flat earther.
Did you ever see the TV? Or
I'm not that.
Did you ever see the movie Rocket Man? The old Disney movie Rocket Man?
Yeah.
It's in that movie. It's a little giant blueberry.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that looks real to me, but I like
aggravating Taylor.
So does AI pictures.
Yeah.
Like there's some AI pictures that look really good.
No, I avoid the topic on the show a lot because it's just so toxic, and I find it annoying because like everybody gets moody about it. I don't get moody about it.
I don't either.
I just like,
dude, I don't. I just talk about it.
That's like, I know I've said it before on the show, but like anybody who's like, why haven't you ever done a flat Earth? It's because I find it annoying to talk about it because it doesn't matter what is said, somebody gets all grumpy about it.
And I don't know why. I don't know why it's like that.
I'm just like, yo, like. Literally for me, if
he did that on purpose,
I did.
I'm not getting grumpy. Like
he gets grumpy about it. He's the grumpy one.
Yeah. Well, it's a running joke between me and him. We talk about flat Earth, and we even talk about gravity on the way up here. Just arguing back and forth. It's just a little running joke we have.
Gravity don't exist.
Yeah, like, we just have
gravity exists, and why do trees grow up? Why do you float?
Here we go. Here we go.
Why do flames go up? Like why don't they go down?
I got him going for you. Yeah.
No. I mean, I don't know. It's all confusing to me. I'm not a scientist.
Well, none of us are, right?
So just a quick question. When you look up at a cloud and you know it's fixing to rain and you think about an average rain cloud floating overhead at the 30,000 level mark. Okay, so it's 30,000 feet overhead, and it's fixing to dump an inch of rain over a 10-mile square area, and it's just dumped billions of gallons of water. How did it float?
Billions
with a B. This whole area just got flooded out,
That's
from
true.
a terrible hurricane. And I'm telling you,
Are you talking about a cloud or clouds?
I don't want to get
I'm
into
talking
that
about
one.
a storm cloud.
Yeah.
How did it float?
A torrential storm cloud.
Mhm.
Okay. On average, sometimes these things are upwards of 30, 40 million gallons for just
Wow.
a passing thunderstorm. Well, you're talking about it spread out over a 6 or 7 mile area, and this thing's floating down in, and it takes an hour or two for it to dissipate. You think how much rain it's dropping. How did it float? I got a gallon of milk in my refrigerator, and it never leaves the shelf.
Well, when water evaporates, it goes up. Right.
But it's still water.
I know, but it goes up. Why don't it go down?
I'm just saying, when you start getting into the theory of gravity and
This
how
is
it
a
works,
flat earther trying to rebound and say, I'm a logical person. See?
yeah, exactly.
He's like, see?
I'm not a flat earther. This wasn't real. Really happened.
I'm on your side.
So
Like,
our pastor
lot of
is
stuff
a
go
water
on when you-
expert. He's a phase 4 water technician in the state of North Carolina, and
Yeah.
he can give you so many facts about clouds and atmospheric conditions, and he enlightens me so much in the Bible, and he gives me so much food and fruit that I can go and get meat off of and say, oh my God, I can sink my teeth into this. And you think, how does that cloud float overhead?
Mhm.
And, you think about it. Okay, and gravity is something's holding the can to the table. All right, but then I'm going to go out here and I'm going to jump on a 747 jet, and it weighs 200, 300,000 pounds. And I'm going to float from one state to the next in the land. Think about it. But gravity's real.
We had that argument already.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of going. So let your mind expand. I don't know. Is the earth flat? Is it round? I don't know. When I get to heaven, I'm going to look down and see.
Exactly. But some things we're not meant to know.
It's right.
Yeah, right now.
Maybe it's a bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
could be
flat
a
on
bowl.
top, round the bottom.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Maybe.
happy.
Yeah. There you go. The split. Best of both worlds. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just weird to me.
So Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Yeah. Bigfoot.
The unknown.
See, just like I know where Mount Zion is, it's in the North Pole because all compasses point north, but that's where the Garden of Eden is too.
Yeah.
But
So something
That's
else.
Do you think the Garden of Eden's in the North Pole?
I do.
Something else that
Interesting.
we
I really do.
Interesting.
Where's the
I
only
really
place in the world gopher wood can be found?
In Florida.
Not in Turkey.
Bingo.
In
In
Florida.
Florida.
It all used to be together before the flood.
It's the only place in the world that gopher wood can be found.
Yep.
Grown.
But
That's-
they found gopher wood in Turkey where the
Where'd it come from?
where the ark
Yeah.
landed.
I think it was all together at one time. Scientists even think that the flood came, separated it all. It turned into 4 heads. And if you look at the old maps of the North Pole, Mount Zion is there. Well, Rufus Negro or whatever it was called was up there. And now there's 4 rivers that went out of it. If you look at these old maps, and it said that the Garden of Eden had 4 heads come out of it. Dude, it's deep. And then all compasses point north to, I don't know. I think it leads you home. Like,
well, the thing
I could go. That's a whole nother.
Well,
podcast.
here's the thing about us. Like that's what we do. We're outside the box thinkers
Yeah.
in what we do, think, and say, and believe. And it's those type of conversations and thought processes we go through that we adapt into our investigations, and that's how
And this comes back to Dogman and Bigfoot.
it does. That's what I'm saying. Like
Because
that
always does.
Yeah, it always
Always
correlates
does.
in some way.
Same
In some way.
old maps. And I think you may have posted a video about this the other day too. Those same old maps used to have Dogman down in the Columbia area and all that. Because we did a podcast on it a few months ago too. Like,
So we did recently just came out with an episode. I think I called it Ancient Historical Dogman, I think is what I called it. And I had Seth I think his last name is Vanderbrook. He's a young guy. He's like 25. But if I remember correctly, he just loves like old maps and things like that. And he started getting these old maps and seeing these things, and he started researching it. And now he's in a unique situation where his church hired him to basically research the Bible and answer people's questions, because you get so many people asking questions and stuff. So his job is to just research, and he loves it. But he has thousands of documents that refer to dog-headed people from thousands of years ago, and from ancient historians to explorers like Marco Polo.
Yeah, they really
Anubis.
That's the god that Egyptians worship, the half dog.
Yeah, Anubis.
Dog.
Yeah. And like even Saint Christopher is depicted as having a dog head. And some, I guess he said that Saint Christopher, there's a lot of different stories of how that all came together. But some of the legend is that Saint Christopher was a cynocephaly that was one of the dog-headed people that the monks were. There was a monk and a missionary. I forget their names. Both start with an R, but they were debating if they existed, but are they human enough for us to witness to for salvation? And the legend has it that St. Christopher was actually one of those cynocephaly that converted to Christianity and then would go and share the gospel with the cynocephaly.
And then,
which is interesting.
Gives me cold chills. It gives me cold chills.
Yeah.
And we've the giant ring. I think you posted about it too, that they found.
Yeah, in Chattanooga. Yeah. Do you think that's real?
I
want to believe it's real
because the Smithsonian's had giant bones and they got rid of them.
No. I'm talking about the giant ring.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, I believe that. I believe
those pictures you saw them. You think that's real?
100%. I do. I just because how
We've
big
looked at
was
them,
how
I
many
think.
cubic feet
Yeah.
was, and I don't know how much time we had, but the king in the Bible, how many cubic feet was his bed?
Oh,
he was
one
a
that got
giant.
the bed made for
And
him.
it-
Yeah.
Hold on a second. We're talking about the giant ring in the sky.
Oh no! I was talking
we're
about the actual
physical
ring you
ring.
had.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
You posted it too, and then David posted it too.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
a
So-
gigantic ring.
When you said giant ring, I was thinking down. There's pictures that came out a couple months ago down in Chattanooga. Somebody took these pictures of like this giant ring in the sky, like glowing.
Oh, I didn't see.
I think it was
seen that.
orange or yellow. It looked like a portal opening
Yeah.
up.
No,
And-
so
yeah.
when I see those, I'm so suspect of AI anymore.
Yeah, I know. That's why I
It's-
was asking if you
you're
thought it was
Oh,
real.
I was like,
Yeah,
maybe that
I
big
believe-
ring was in
I
Chattanooga.
believe
don't
I've
know.
seen it. No, I don't. It was
local.
Was it in the? But I think the ring was found here in the United States. I'm not sure about that, but nonetheless, the giant ring, led us into the Bible where we're talking about. One of the kings in the Bible was said to have been a giant, son of a Nephilim. Offspring of an angel. His bed was, I think he was 14 to 17 feet tall. And his bed was so many cubits wide. I mean, it was like 8 or 9.
Who was this?
feet.
Nimrod?
I don't think it was Nimrod.
Maybe
I had to
it
go
was.
back and look.
Yeah, maybe.
But it was in the book of Nimrod.
Yeah.
That's where we found it.
It might have been Nimrod.
Well, there's your sign. If it's
Yeah.
book of-
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was in the
Look
book
at
of
Nimrod.
Nimrod.
Who is it?
But
But that all goes back to Bigfoot to me. Like it was that the fallen angels. That's
where you're at right now.
The Nephilim theory and fallen angels.
Yeah.
That's where we're at currently.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be a lot of different things, a combination of things where it's like they could be ancient creatures from old. Well, where'd they come from? Maybe some type of Nephilim. I could go to even the route of maybe it's a creation of God's that He created and it was only meant for Him and not meant for us.
well, then, in what were those creations called?
What, the abominations with the Nephilim or what?
God did create something to do a specific task, and they were called the Watchers.
Mm.
Not
Squatch
Squatch Watchers.
Squatch
Not the
Watchers.
Squatch Watchers. no.
Episode over.
But look,
God did create us, but not for that. No,
On
not
millions
like
and
that.
millions of people.
we'll dive into that. We'll go an offshoot. We'll go back into the Watchers on that, and the Bible speaks of the Watchers.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that there could be even an angle of human creation through alchemical means.
Yeah.
Like if you're talking like these are supernatural beings that were created supernaturally, and you got people who are doing alchemical type things. And then you look at the governments and stuff. Is it possible that they're creating these things? Are they looking at something that they know exists or at least once existed, and they are trying to recreate? I mean, we just had, I think it was earlier this year or late last year, science is like literally, they're like, we could bring back the woolly mammoths.
Yes.
And so it's like,
Mhm.
could they be taking old creatures of old and
I thought
bringing
they
them
were
into
actively
modern
trying to
times?
do that.
I thought they could. I
I'll
thought
tell you
they
what.
accomplished it, didn't they?
Oh yeah, I think they did, but or they were
supposed
like
to
on
be.
the cusp. They're like, we're gonna do this.
Like
The
by
dodo bird?
2028, There's something.
They were going to bring the dodo bird back also from extinction.
Yeah.
I think the mammoths are supposed to be here by 2028 or something like that.
Well, bring them back, I guess.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's the Jurassic Park thing. That's like another thing.
There's a reason why they're not here anymore.
There's a story that I've told this on the show before, but I'll tell you guys because you're new. But when I moved here, there was a farmer who reached out to me asking if I wanted to buy a cow, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take half. Like
welcome to.
Hey, I want to buy a cow. There's a cow.
Oh my god.
So, we got to talking, and he was a listener to the show, and he said that when he was a kid growing up, he's around my age. I think he's late 30s. He said when he was a kid growing up, talking to the old timers that were here when during World War II and leading up to World War II, they said that during the construction of Oak Ridge, which is known as a secret city, nobody knew it was being built, top secret stuff, that is when they started seeing a white Bigfoot running around here. And Smoky Mountains, the legend of the white Bigfoot is very strong around here. Really? And again, it goes back to the design aspect of things, because you hear about these cryptids running around military properties. Is it something that, and I'm not saying only, I got to be very specific here when I say this, not just you guys, but everybody listening. I'm not saying that that a theory is that only Bigfoot can be is here because of created through military or things like that.
Right.
But I think what could be happening is a lot of different options all at the same time. We could have remnant. We could have things that are designed by government entities. We could have interdimensional beings that resemble these things. We could have interdimensional beings that resemble these things. And some of them are trapped here because they don't have the supernatural ability that some others have to transcend dimensions. If you think about how DNA works with people, and I've used this before on the show, but again, you guys are new. I have a twin brother and sister who, one, obviously boy, girl, but they look completely different. My sister Danielle, like light brown hair, blonde, very fair skin. My brother Donnie, darker hair than me, darker than me, and they're twins. They're twins, but different DNA. So if we're talking about remnant of Nephilim type thing, or something that was supernatural, could it be that some of these beings have capabilities that other ones do not? So there's so many different ways to look at this, and I think we trap ourselves sometimes into thinking, all right, I want to figure this out. So I think Bigfoot is this. And it's like, well, I think Bigfoot is this, this, and this. And it could be all of it together. It could be that, what we're seeing over here is Bigfoot jumping out of a portal. And then this thing over here that looks like Bigfoot that came out of a lab on a government facility. Maybe not, neither one is Sasquatch, but they look similar. There's so many different ways to go about thinking about this. And it's just, and I feel like I have kindred spirits here, like I just feel like we're all on the same page, where it's like, it's a very big mystery.
Close-minded to this thing.
Yeah.
There's no one answer that fits it all.
Had people that give us looks whenever we're speaking, like, they hate it, but I'm glad we're here with you.
Well, the sad part about it is, if you went out and done a poll, like in the streets out here or anywhere, you could ask people like the simple question, what is Bigfoot? Because most people know what Bigfoot, they think they know what Bigfoot is. You ask them, what is Bigfoot? You could give them multiple choice, or you could just ask them point blank, or have them fill in the blank, whatever. Most of them are going to say a giant human-like ape. And that's where most people have left it over these years. And I mean, that's why you have to come in this open-minded.
Yeah. I mean, so going to the topic of Dogman, so over here in North Middle Tennessee, the Fort Campbell, which is, I think Fort Campbell, technically overlaps Tennessee and Kentucky. I think the back 40 is on the Kentucky side in Clarksville, if I remember correctly. But Fort Campbell is apparently a hotbed for Dogman activity, to the point that the soldiers that are stationed on Fort Campbell know about Dogman. They talk about Dogman. They call it out over the radio. It's attacked the soldiers during operations there. It's been called out over the radio.
Holy cow.
And to the point that I had one of the soldiers that was on. So let me tell you this. I was given 3 guys by the Instagram account Tales from the Grid Square. He gave me these 3 guys that were stationed currently at Fort Campbell when he gave them to me. He said, these guys have an experience with Dogman and they're willing to talk about it. Well, it took a long time, but eventually I got one to talk about it and he wouldn't come in. He couldn't come in because it was too late then. But the guy who came on told his experience with Dogman, and he told these other guys' experiences. And it's something that is so prevalent that he is now stationed at another base in another state, and he teaches classes. And when he has a new class come in, and some of those guys come from Fort Campbell, they all talk about it together because the new class coming in knows about Dogman too. And it's that prevalent. And the story he shared with me, that the one that he said shared several, but the one night this thing comes in and all hell breaks loose, and you hear Dogman being yelled out over the radio. It grabs one of the soldiers and starts pulling him into the shrubs and the bushes and stuff. And this one guy, Mac, who was one of the guys I was trying to get on the show, literally, apparently Mac's a giant person. Like, because I was like, he fought the Dogman off, and he's like, but Mac pulled this guy back, and the guy was injured, and I think it was dismissed from the military or something like that. Wow. But like, that's just on Fort Campbell. And so, like, when I say, are these things being created by government type thing? Maybe, because he also said that Fort Campbell has these bunkers that go way down on the ground and nobody's allowed in them.
Oh wow!
Ain't that almost sounds like the story of the giants over in Afghanistan, where the SEAL team went out and it like
giants.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah.
So like, I say that I don't want to say even that. Okay, I suggested that is the government creating them, and they're on Fort Campbell, right? But what if they're already on Fort Campbell and they make Fort Campbell around that area and utilize the fact that Dogman's on the property as training exercises? Hey, you want to know what to do under the situation where there's a curveball?
Yeah.
Go out there tonight and train with Dogman.
It's messed up.
I don't know of anything that I want to train against that's going to eat me.
Right?
It's scary.
There's also a guy, he and people know his story, Joe Barger. He shot a Dogman in the face, point blank. It ran up on him. He was a tractor trailer driver in Michigan, and he stopped his truck on an incline. Former trucker here, so like, just have that in mind as I'm telling you this. He stops his truck on an incline. He has a full load. He had an air leak in his line. He gets out. It's nighttime, and he gets back there and repairs it. When he's underneath the truck repairing, he hears some movement off in the trees, and he's thinking it might be a bear or something. So he gets back in his truck, and so he starts taking off. Now, on a full load going uphill, I mean, you're a trucker too, right? Yeah. So you're going slow.
You're going slow. You're not moving fast.
Like you might go 25 miles an hour
if you're lucky.
If you're lucky,
it depends on the incline and how much weight you got.
Right. If you got 80,000, you're struggling to shift gears.
Yeah.
So he's going up this hill and he's checking his mirrors like a good trucker. And he looks in the passenger window to check the mirror. And all of a sudden he can't see the brake lights. There's something running up next to it. And all of a sudden he sees this hand come in the window. The windows are down. And it's so tall that it has to duck down to look in the window. Now, you're sitting about 9 feet up in the air, your head is. And so this is like at least 10 feet tall. It ducks down, looks in the window. He pulls, I think it was a Colt 45 out that he had on the side of his seat. He points it point blank and he fires. He said he thinks he shot it right through the eye, and it drops. Here's the crazy thing. This is it's a long story and more detail, but I'll fast forward to this. He kills this thing. Months later, he's approached by government people, and they said that he killed their asset.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Wow.
What if these are biological things, not even robots? Like, what if these are what if these are biological things,
like mutant type things they create,
or not? What if these are biological things that the government have the ability to trap? They've figured it out. They catch them.
Oh, yeah.
They chip them, and all of a sudden they have them under control, like a Neuralink type thing.
Well, it's kind of like wildlife. They can put chips in wildlife game, and it can be the same thing.
They've got chips in you guys. You guys think the world's round.
You never heard me say that.
Wait, what if you're chipped?
What if I? No, I totally believe that. Gives me cold
I
chills.
definitely believe it. Yeah,
it makes sense that they would build it around that and try to act like
so
military base everywhere. There's a cryptid kind of like. Is that what you're kind of saying? Like,
well, no,
not everyone.
I think it's a convenient thing to be utilized.
Part of it. So I've never heard this story before, and I am
gives me cold chills.
It does. It blows my mind.
Oof. I'm just.
Well, wait until you hear Joe tell it.
Oh yeah, holy cow!
But so the Joe, he first came out, I think anonymously on a podcast. I'm drawing a blank. It's with Hightower. I forget his name now.
Doug,
not Doug Hightower.
No, who was that? Never mind.
Anyways, he basically tells Joe's story for him, kind of thing. And then I was speaking in Paris, Tennessee. I think this is the order of how it happened. I was speaking in Paris, Tennessee. I wasn't even speaking. I was just attending this event as a vendor. It was a Dogman conference, Paranormal Roundtable, Josh Turner's, and I'm sitting in a side room, and me and another YouTuber, Josh. I like dropping people's names when I can, just give them proper credit.
Yeah, I understand.
But
I like that.
I forget the name of his channel and his last name. But Josh, and we were sitting there talking, and Joe comes in, and he's like, and he doesn't say like, hey, I got a story for you.
I've got a lot to say.
He humbly comes in, and he's just, very quiet, talks like this, and do you believe in Dogman? Yeah, I believe in Dogman. And being Tony, I'm more charismatic and energy.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I do too. I had an experience once, and it's like, oh yeah, I want to hear it. And because you're thinking like, because like most of the time when people have an experience, it's not a dramatic one. It's more like I saw it through the trees, or you hear it, or whatever, right? And he's like, then he starts telling the story just like this. He's just like, yeah, I was driving my truck, and it was very reserved and like nervous telling it. And me and Josh are just sitting there, like eyes getting larger and larger. And then word got around that he was there, and all these people started like, getting his story and stuff. And I told Joe, I said, listen, man, like you've been talking to all these different people about their story. I said, when I have you on my show, it has to be in studio. It has to be something that's a little different than everything else. So yeah. But anyways, I say all that because like I'm trying to present different scenarios to lead people to different conclusions of what these could be, and say it could be all of that. Yeah, it could be all of that. And these literally could be things that are jumping into the water and portaling into the upside down, to something that was grown in a lab, to something that was caught as a wild beast and chipped and then under control, which that is something that has been discussed as well, that they release these cryptids into the forest to even the desert, let them hunt all night, and then they have a chip in them that when that's triggered, it calls them back.
Yep.
I feel like that's a Dogman exclusive thing. Like you really opened my mind to that about the military and Dogman.
He said something so profound, because he's talking about the upside down, and he's talking about how it was. They said you've destroyed one of our assets. In Stranger Things, the whole idea that the Americans and the Russians are doing is they're trying to take these creatures from the upside down and make them assets.
Oh, you drew the lines.
And I'm going, and I'm always trying to, I tell you guys all the time, they tell us more in movies than if we pay attention than we ever realize about what's going on around us. And when you said that, you guys just took out one of my assets, and I'm going, that is incredible, because my mind has just, it's an epiphany. And I mean, and epiphanies don't happen often. Okay. I mean, that's a life-changing thing, because now my rabbit hole is just, I've got something else that's just going to blow my gourd. And it's going to take time that I've got to look at this now, because there's a new way to look at the connection. And I did not think about that ever until this moment on this podcast. So it was, that whole little 5-minute spiel right there made my whole trip worth it. So it was the best birthday gift I could have got.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's your birthday. That's right.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Well, this whole thing's been worth it. It's been good.
I want to kind of ask something too, just to get in, because I know we all have the plans and stuff, but do you believe in the stuff can get attached to items?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you believe that? We bought David a gift, and I'll let him tell you real quick. And so, are you into like memorabilia, anything at all? Like, do you know who Beckett is? PSA, the people that grade like autographs and all that.
I used to work for a sports memorabilia company.
So there's
Hunt Auctions. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Mm-mm.
They do a lot of stuff.
I might have something for you to auction off.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not.
So, Elvis Presley, anybody that would meet him back in the 50s would be like, that'd be their prized possession if they got him to sign something. So we went in with some of our YouTube stuff and we bought him a gift, and it was a pretty penny gift, and it's graded by PSA DNA or Beckett Authentications, and I'm pretty sure Steve Jobs there or whatever his name. That's not Steve Jobs. Steve, the guy from Pawn Stars, like he works for them. So fast forward, if that was your item and you were a little girl or even a teenage boy and you got him to sign to it, you'd be attached to it. So I get it in my hands before we give it to David, and I have like, I wake up the next morning and I feel like I got pushed. I'm like, that was kind of weird. And my wife wakes up, Paige, and she says, I had the worst dream ever last night. And I was like, we bring that thing in the house. And so David can take it over from there. And
we're still having nightmares.
So you didn't get rid of it?
Hillary and I both are still having nightmares.
Really? Yes.
The one when I woke up the other morning, I mean, I wanted to wake up so bad again because my house was literally being destroyed and they had stolen everything. And I'm trying to beat this one guy nearly to death to try to get my stuff back. It's a terrible dream.
So,
but we've, since I've got this thing this past summer, I'm a very vivid dreamer. I dream in color. I have a lot of recall on my dreams. My dad come and visits me a lot. He's trying to tell me something. I haven't figured it out yet. When you can start controlling your dreams, it's a very scary thing. And you start being self-aware that God can allow people to communicate, or maybe he's trying to tell you something. And so, and it's in the twilight when you're in that moment between you're dreaming and you're also waking up, is the moment that your conscious is starting to let go. And that's when you have the wherewithal to start asking questions. And then you wake up, and then that part of your brain that's allowed to act that you don't have control over. There's a lot going on there. But we've had the worst nightmares since this thing has come into our house. And it's a lovely gift. It's a lovely thought. But
He's
I don't
a huge
know.
Elvis fan.
Yeah, I'm a huge Elvis fan, but I don't know that it's going to stay in our family possession forever.
Did you at least say to the guys, "Thank you very much"?
I did. Thank you.
But anyway,
let me just say this: what you're describing sounds like you do a lot of lucid dreaming.
I do.
Yeah, and so lucid dreaming is like you have the dreams. I don't even, like, they say everybody dreams. I don't even remember my dreams. So like if there's like dreams, I'm like down here. Like I'm just like barely opening the door to a dream realm.
I have a selective memory. I remember some and then I'm like, no, most of the time, no.
But then there's like the next level up is the lucid dreaming. And that's what you're talking about, where you control your dreams. It's very vivid. There's communications there. And then the next level up to that is actually you're no longer dreaming. You are now in another existence.
You're at another plane.
Yeah.
You're it's almost astro projection, or out of body experience.
I've had
that. So
there's somebody who I'm trying to get to come on the show. I don't think I'm his cup of tea, but it's because he's a scientist, like a real like scientist guy. But I say that, but I mean what he's doing is a lot. Like so basically, he's discovered how to communicate with people while they're dreaming. Where there's
been 2 movies on this, just so y'all know.
This communication, and that opens a whole other realm. of possibilities. I will say this too, kind of merging the dream with the Dogman side of things. And we were talking about portals too. I think it's episode 510 or 512, something like that. I can't remember. I had a guy, and he's been in studio too. He's in Middle Tennessee, but he had a dream where he had this dream where he was like camping or something, and his family was there. They were like off over here, his wife and kids, and then he's over here looking, and there's this like werewolf Dogman thing, and it's eyeballing him and his family. It takes off towards his family, and in this dream, he gets in between, and this thing starts tearing to pieces. He wakes up with cuts and scratches on his back, and then like a month later, him and his son are walking through the woods, and that very thing is standing before them in this realm. And so like there is something to say when it comes to the interdimensional aspect of this stuff. I don't want to say Dogman specifically, definitely Dogman, but Bigfoot and all that stuff, where there's like and is it something where, so we talk about portals and stuff, but I think our minds themselves have some kind of supernatural gateway threshold ability.
I dream about werewolves or dogmen a lot. I have for like 20 years. This is not just something that started. This is, a very long time. Tornadoes, werewolves, dogmen, ever how you want to describe them. I've dreamt about them for a very long time. And sometimes they're so vivid and they're so active that it is a very, so it's unnerving when you wake up and you are looking around the room to see if it's still there with you. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about it was hurting his family, or he was trying to save his family. Since this memorabilia has come into the house, a lot of my nightmares are trying to protect the children. I'm almost going to get teary out here because there's different things. There's different animals eating them, and I can't get to them, and I can't save them. And then you wake up and you think, oh my God, thank God I'm awake. And you go and you look, and Hillary's okay, and the kids are asleep, and you're like, oh, it was a dream. And you're so happy you woke up, and there's times where I won't go back to sleep. I do not want to take a chance to open that realm up again for me. So,
how's your household since
mine's good.
The departure to him?
Well, my brother, he's there all the time. Have you? Do you believe? Do you have anybody that's passed away in your family that your kids have seen? My daughter sees my brother all the time.
See, I thought you meant like met, like actually see when after they're dead.
Yeah, no. I'd never really believed in it, and but so this is just a quick one. My cousin was over at my house, and we hear my daughter. She's seen my dad. She knew that this dog, because I've always in my mind, because I've always heard these stories. I'll never talk about my brother or my dad until she's older. I was like, I have this dog that was my dad's that I keep in like this curio cabinet just because I don't want nothing to happen to it. And it was like one of those things, like mediums always say, bring an item that was something. Never believed in that. And so she's like, I was like, where'd you get that dog? She said, Pawpaw. I'm like, oh, wow, that's weird. And so I pull out a picture of my dad, and I'm like, well, who's this? That's Pawpaw. And then pulled out, and then she's like, the other day, she was just saying, Uncle Cody. And I'm like, what? And she's like, Uncle Cody's he protects me. And I'm like, well, where's he at? Heaven? I'm like, to me, I've always learned once you're in heaven, you can't see anything down here. So I don't know. And then like when my cousin comes over, she's in the kitchen, and she's like, we'll hear her like playing in there because she'll wander in there. She's got her like little paint thing in there, and she'll just start laughing and say, Uncle Cody. And it is just weird. So I believe, like, I don't know. That's the only thing that happens in my house. I have not had anything terrifying though, but that's another story.
Nobody sees anything like that at my home. Like I said, my dad visits me a lot in my dreams, but other than that, no.
Yeah, it's wild. I can show pictures and she'll know exactly who my brother was. She knew exactly who my dad was. And I'm like, okay, hey, tell him. That's the only thing that's weird that's happened to me. I don't know. Like I said, is it our veil is thinner than everyone's, yours too? Because we go in and out of Christianity standpoint of stuff. That's why we get the activity. I don't know, but that's where I'm at.
Wild.
Yeah, this is a wild conversation, fellas. Listen, we're going to bring it in for a landing here. But before we wrap things up, I don't care who does it, but let them know where they can find all your stuff.
I mean, we can take turns. So we're the Squatch Watchers. You can find us on YouTube. Just type in Squatch Watchers. Instagram, Squatch Watchers, NC Squatch Watch. We don't really deal with like our Facebook much. That's just a different community type thing. Just pretty much Squatch Watchers. You Google it, type in a couple of our names, Squatch Watchers Bigfoot, and you'll find us. NC Squatch Watchers, whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this is fun, guys.
Yeah,
thanks for having us, man. We love it.
Letters are wrapping up. I got something for you and your brother. Okay.
Oh, really?
So I got you guys some prayer coins, and these are obviously the book of Ephesians, full armor of God. Y'all can fight over who gets which one.
Hey, that's cool, man.
We prayed over those, and those are just keep in your pocket if you want to. Put them in your dresser drawer. You ever having a bad moment, just remember, there's something higher than us that we can cling to, and He protects us at all times. Because I got my armor on right now, brother. You
can't go wrong wearing keeping scripture on you.
No.
Have you ever closed a podcast episode with a prayer?
I'm sure I have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was wondering if we close one with a prayer.
Yeah, go ahead,
David. You want?
All right, here we go. Man, it has been a great day to come to another state to meet a new brother in Christ, people who are like-minded and doesn't mind to step out on their faith. Lord, we want to thank you for that. We want to thank you for the camaraderie here today, Lord, and a chance to bring your name and your word out to a whole new audience, Lord. We just pray that you would just touch someone that might need it. Keep us all safe on our travels to get home. Be with the birthday party that's going to happen later this afternoon, Lord. Just let there be fun and adventures there. And we want to give all honor and glory to you, God. And thank you for your gift of salvation through our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We love you and we thank you. In Christ's name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
God bless.
Yep, God
Thank
bless.
you, dude.
Yep, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yep.
From where I was, darkness hides everything I love. They hold on a pride, unbalanced and scared. God is living in hell. Every rabbit tail I'm chasing down a corridor seems to lead me to another crumb I can't ignore. What happens when the ceiling is the floor? Sanity lost behind a door. Their goal is to divide your intelligence implied, but I think you're infantile, and I don't know why I try. Hey, man, I'm getting tired of showing you the lies. You're so caught up in the height of the unlimited supply. Hey, when I think reality is concrete, cracks from the truth begin to taunt me. Ghosts from another time tried to haunt me, but all they brought me was the past on a loop. When I think reality is concrete, cracks from the truth began to taunt me. Ghosts from another time tried to haunt me, but all they brought me was the past on the loop. What's behind the curtain? I don't know. I'm digging into things. They say I'm on a spectrum, grasping at these threads, trying